Amanda Hale pressed her palm flat against the cafe table, steadying herself as Bryce's voice cut through the quiet hum of conversation like a serrated blade. 5 months pregnant, broke, and cornered in public. This was how her marriage ended, not with closure, but with humiliation. He leaned in close, his breath sharp with expensive cologne and contempt, cataloging every flaw in her body, her choices, her existence. The room pretended not to watch. She had nowhere to go. Then a man in a tailored charcoal suit stepped between them, and the air changed. He didn't shout. He didn't need to. With one sentence and the silent arrival of men who moved like trained wolves, he erased Bryce from her world. When Dominic Vieri sat across from her and asked if she was okay, Amanda felt something she'd forgotten existed, the possibility of being safe. Like this video, comment the city you're watching from so I can see how far this story travels, and stay until the end, because what starts as rescue becomes something far more dangerous. Mom. The cafe smelled like burnt espresso and other people's quiet mornings. Amanda Hale sat in the corner booth with her laptop open, pretending the spreadsheet in front of her made sense. It didn't. Nothing made sense anymore. The freelance translation gig paid $40 for 2,000 words of technical Portuguese, and her bank account had $63 left after rent. The math didn't work. It hadn't worked in months. She pressed her fingers against her temples and felt the dull throb behind her eyes sharpen into something meaner. 5 months pregnant. Alone. Living in a studio apartment in Little Havana that smelled like mildew and her neighbor's cooking. She'd left Bryce 4 months ago, and somehow the world had gotten smaller every day since. The door chimed. Amanda didn't look up. She had 3 hours to finish this contract before the client's deadline, and her wrists already ached from typing. She reached for her water glass and misjudged the distance. It tipped, spilling across the table in a cold rush. Shit! She grabbed napkins, blotting uselessly at the puddle, creeping toward her laptop. Her hands shook. Everything shook lately. Need help? The voice came from above. Male, casual. Amanda glanced up, ready to decline politely, and froze. Bryce stood next to her table, hands in the pockets of his tailored navy suit, looking like he'd stepped out of a corporate catalog. Handsome in the way that photographs well but doesn't hold up in person. Sharp jaw, empty eyes, smile that never reached anywhere real. Her throat closed. Wow, Bryce said, his gaze dropping to her stomach. You really let yourself go. Amanda's pulse hammered in her ears. She hadn't seen him since the day she'd packed 2 suitcases and walked out of their Brickell condo. He'd called twice, texted once, then went silent. She'd assumed he'd moved on, found some other woman to slowly dismantle. I'm working, Amanda said quietly. Please leave. Bryce pulled out the chair across from her and sat down. The legs scraped against the tile floor, loud enough that the couple 2 tables over glanced their way. I've been looking for you, Bryce said. He leaned back, perfectly relaxed. You changed your number, blocked me on everything. That's pretty childish, Amanda. You cheated on me. Her voice came out flat, stating facts. I made mistakes. Bryce's tone shifted into something practiced, regretful, wounded. We both did. But running away? Hiding. That's not how adults handle things. Amanda closed her laptop. Her hands still trembled, but she forced them still against the table's surface. I'm not hiding. I left. There's a difference. You're living in some shithole studio, freelancing for scraps. Bryce gestured at her laptop, her water-stained napkins, the cheap coffee going cold in a chipped mug. Look at you. You can't even afford to take care of yourself, and you're about to have a kid. The words landed like fists. Precise, aimed at every insecurity she'd spent 4 months trying to bury. That's my problem, Amanda said. Not yours. Bryce leaned forward. His expression shifted, smile gone, something colder underneath. Actually, it is my problem. That baby you're carrying? We need to talk about custody. Amanda's stomach dropped. What? You heard me. Bryce pulled his phone from his pocket, tapped the screen, slid it across the table. My lawyer sent this over yesterday. Paternity test. Custody evaluation. I want shared parenting. Amanda stared at the screen. Legal letterhead. Her name at the top. Words like parental fitness and financial stability jumping out in bold text. You can't be serious. Dead serious. Bryce took his phone back, pocketed it. You think I'm going to let you raise my kid in poverty? You're barely keeping it together, Amanda. Look at you, stressed, broke, probably not eating right. That's neglect. I'm not neglecting anything. Her voice cracked. She hated that it cracked. Then prove it. Bryce stood, smoothing his tie. Get a real job. Find a decent place to live. Stop playing the victim. He paused, looked down at her with something close to pity. Or don't. Either way, my lawyer will be in touch. He turned to leave. Amanda's vision blurred. Rage and panic twisted together in her chest, choking her. She wanted to scream, wanted to throw something, wanted to rewind the last 5 years and make different choices. Better choices. Choices that didn't leave her sitting in a Miami cafe, pregnant and powerless, while her ex-husband threatened to take the one thing she had left. Excuse me. The voice was low, calm, and came from directly behind Bryce. Bryce stopped mid-step, turned. A man stood there, tall, maybe 6'2", with dark hair graying slightly at the temples. He wore a charcoal suit that fit like it had been made specifically for his frame, and his eyes, sharp, dark, unreadable, were fixed on Bryce with the kind of attention that made the air feel thinner. Can I help you? Bryce asked. Annoyed, dismissive. You're upsetting the lady, the man said. His tone didn't rise, didn't need to. I think you should leave. Bryce laughed, short, disbelieving. This is a private conversation. Mind your own business. I am, the man said. He didn't move, didn't blink, just stood there, perfectly still, radiating a kind of controlled danger that made Amanda's breath catch. Bryce glanced around the cafe. The couple 2 tables over had stopped pretending not to watch. The barista stood frozen behind the counter, mid-pour. A man in a black jacket stood near the door, arms crossed, watching Bryce with the same flat intensity as the man in the charcoal suit. You've got to be kidding me, Bryce muttered. He looked back at the man. You her new boyfriend or something? I'm someone who doesn't like bullies, the man said quietly. And you're done here. Bryce opened his mouth, maybe to argue, maybe to escalate, but something in the man's expression stopped him. He looked at Amanda one last time, shook his head, and walked toward the door. The man in the black jacket stepped aside to let him pass, then followed him out onto the sidewalk. The cafe exhaled. Conversations resumed. The barista went back to pouring coffee. Amanda sat frozen, staring at the table, her pulse still racing. Are you all right? The man in the charcoal suit stood next to her booth now, hands in his pockets. Expression softened into something closer to concern. Amanda blinked, tried to find words. Yeah, I think so. May I sit? She nodded. He slid into the seat Bryce had vacated, moving with an ease that suggested he was used to taking up space without asking permission. Up close, he looked older than she'd first thought, mid-40s maybe, with lines around his eyes that came from squinting into too much sun or too many hard decisions. Dominic Vieri, he said, extending a hand. Amanda shook it. His grip was warm, firm, steady. Amanda Hale. That man? Your ex-husband? She nodded. Dominic's jaw tightened slightly. He always that charming? Amanda almost laughed. It came out as a choked sound instead. Pretty much. Dominic leaned back, studying her. Not the way Bryce had, cataloging flaws, calculating weaknesses. This was different. Careful. Like he was trying to figure out what she needed without asking. You're shaking, he said. Amanda looked down at her hands. He was right. She laced her fingers together, pressed them against the table. I'm fine. You're not. He paused. When's the last time you ate something? Amanda's throat tightened. She couldn't remember. Yesterday? The day before? There's a place 2 blocks from here, Dominic said. Quiet. Good food. Let me buy you lunch. I don't, Amanda started, but the words tangled. She didn't know this man. Didn't know why he'd intervened, why he was still here, why he was looking at her like she mattered. I can't. You can, Dominic said gently. You just don't think you should. That landed harder than Bryce's threats. Amanda felt her eyes sting, felt the pressure building behind her ribs. I don't need charity, she whispered. Good, Dominic said. I'm not offering it. I'm offering lunch. There's a difference. Amanda studied him, searching for the catch, the angle, the moment this kindness would flip into something else. She'd gotten good at spotting traps. Bryce had taught her that. But Dominic's expression stayed steady, open, patient. Why? Amanda asked. Dominic tilted his head slightly. Why what? Why help me? You don't know me. No, Dominic agreed. But I know men like him, and I know what it looks like when someone's been carrying too much for too long. He stood, gestured toward the door. Come on, worst case, you get a decent meal. Best case, you get a break from thinking about that asshole for an hour. Amanda hesitated. Every rational part of her brain screamed warnings, stranger danger, ulterior motives, nothing's free. But her body was already moving, gathering her laptop, slinging her bag over her shoulder. She was so tired, tired of fighting, tired of being afraid, tired of doing everything alone. Okay, she said quietly. Dominic smiled, small, genuine. Good. The restaurant was Italian, small, tucked into a side street off Miracle Mile, with white tablecloths and soft lighting that made the world outside feel farther away than it was. Dominic led her to a corner table, pulled out her chair, waited until she sat before taking his own seat. A waiter appeared almost immediately. Young, efficient, deferential in a way that suggested Dominic was a regular. The usual, Mr. Vieri? Please. And bring the lady whatever she'd like. Dominic looked at Amanda. Order anything. I mean it. Amanda scanned the menu. Everything was expensive. Everything was in Italian. She felt out of place, her worn jeans, her oversized sweater hiding the pregnancy she wasn't ready to explain. I'll have the same, she said, handing the menu back. The waiter nodded and disappeared. Dominic watched her. Not staring. Just present. Attentive in a way that didn't feel invasive. So, he said, translation work? Amanda blinked. How did you see? Your laptop. I saw the file name when you closed it. Portuguese to English looked like. Oh, Amanda relaxed slightly. Yeah, freelance, technical documents mostly, contracts, manuals, that kind of thing. You speak Portuguese? Portuguese, Spanish, French. My mom was Brazilian. I grew up bilingual. She paused. Languages were the only thing I was ever really good at. I doubt that, Dominic said. Amanda looked up. What? I doubt languages are the only thing you're good at. The words sat between them, gentle and firm at the same time. Amanda didn't know how to respond. Compliments felt like traps. Kindness felt like debt. Tell me about the contracts, Dominic said, steering the conversation into safer water. What kind of work are you translating? Amanda exhaled. Talking about work was easier. Concrete. Right now? Shipping manifest for a logistics company in Sao Paulo. Boring stuff, but it pays. Not enough, I'm guessing. Amanda's cheeks flushed. It's fine. It's not. Dominic leaned forward slightly. Let me guess, they're paying you bottom-tier rates, expecting tight turnarounds, and you're too afraid to negotiate because you need the money. Amanda stared at him. He'd just summarized her entire professional life in one sentence. How do you know that? I run a business, Dominic said. I've seen how people get exploited when they're desperate. It's not right, but it's common. What kind of business? Amanda asked. Dominic's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind his eyes. A decision being made. Import-export, he said after a pause. International trade, shipping, logistics, distribution. I deal with contracts in 6 languages on a daily basis. Oh. And I'm always looking for good translators, Dominic continued. People who understand legal terminology, who can work fast without sacrificing accuracy. People I can trust. Amanda's pulse quickened. Are you offering me a job? I'm offering you work, Dominic said. Contract-based. Flexible hours. Better pay than what you're getting now. He pulled a business card from his pocket, slid it across the table. Think about it. No pressure. Amanda picked up the card. Heavy stock, embossed lettering. Dominic Vieri, CEO. Vieri International Holdings. This is real? She asked. Very real. The waiter returned with their food. Pasta in a light cream sauce, grilled vegetables, bread still warm from the oven. Amanda's stomach growled audibly. She hadn't realized how hungry she was until the smell hit her. "Eat," Dominic said gently. Amanda did. The first bite was heaven, rich, perfectly seasoned, the kind of meal she hadn't tasted in months. She forced herself to slow down, to not inhale everything like a starving animal, but it was hard. Her body wanted to consume, to take, to fill the hollowness that had been growing since she left Bryce. Dominic ate slowly, watching her without making her feel watched. It was a strange skill, being present without being intrusive. "Can I ask you something?" Amanda said between bites. "Anything." "Why did you really step in back there at the cafe?" Dominic set down his fork, considered the question. "I grew up watching my father scream at my mother in public," he said quietly. "Watched people walk past, pretend they didn't see. Watched her shrink a little more every time." He met Amanda's eyes. "I swore I'd never be one of those people, the ones who look away." Amanda's throat tightened. "I'm sorry." "Don't be." Dominic's voice was steady. "It taught me what matters and what doesn't." They ate in silence for a while. Comfortable silence. The kind that didn't need filling. "He's lying, you know," Dominic said eventually. Amanda looked up. "What?" "Your ex, the custody threat, the paternity test." Dominic wiped his mouth with his napkin. "It's a power play. He wants to scare you into coming back, or into giving him control. But he doesn't have legal standing unless he can prove the child is his. And even then, family courts don't look kindly on fathers who abandon pregnant women and only showed interest when it became convenient." Amanda stared at him. "How do you know all that?" "I have good lawyers," Dominic said, "and I've seen this game before." He leaned forward. "If he files anything, you fight it. You don't fold, you don't negotiate. You make him prove every single claim in court, and you bury him in documentation, restraining orders, evidence of harassment, financial records showing he contributed nothing." He paused. "You have records, don't you? Texts, emails, anything showing he knew you were pregnant and walked away?" Amanda nodded slowly. She had screenshots, voicemails, a paper trail 4 months long. "Good," Dominic said. "Hold on to those. And if you need legal help, real legal help, not some overworked public defender, let me know." "Why would you do that?" Amanda's voice cracked again. "You don't even know me." Dominic's expression softened. "Maybe that's exactly why I'm offering." Amanda left the restaurant 2 hours later with a full stomach, a business card, and the first spark of hope she'd felt in months. Dominic walked her to her car, a 15-year-old Honda with a dented bumper and a passenger door that stuck. He didn't comment on it, just made sure she got in safely, told her to think about the work offer, and watched until she drove away. That night, Amanda sat in her studio apartment staring at Dominic's business card under the single overhead light. The walls were thin enough that she could hear her neighbor's television through the plaster. Her mattress sat directly on the floor. The bathroom sink dripped every 12 seconds. She picked up her phone, opened her email, started typing. "Mr. Vieri, thank you for lunch. And for, everything else. I'd like to discuss the translation work if the offer still stands. Let me know when would be convenient. Amanda Hale." She hit send before she could second-guess herself. The response came 3 minutes later. "Amanda, the offer stands. Can you meet tomorrow at 10 a.m.? My office is downtown. I'll send the address. And it's Dominic, not Mr. Vieri. D." Amanda read the message twice, then a third time. She pressed her hand against her stomach, felt the subtle movement beneath her palm, the baby shifting, restless. "Okay," she whispered to the empty room. "Let's try this." Book. Dominic's office occupied the top 3 floors of a glass tower overlooking Biscayne Bay. Amanda stood in the lobby the next morning, staring at the directory, feeling wildly out of place. She wore the only professional outfit she still owned, a black dress that used to fit perfectly but now strained across her stomach, paired with flats because her feet were already swelling. The elevator ride to the 23rd floor felt like ascending into a different world. When the doors opened, she stepped into a reception area that looked like it belonged in a magazine. Polished marble floors, modern art on the walls, floor-to-ceiling windows offering views of the city and ocean beyond. "Ms. Hale?" A woman in her 30s approached, perfectly styled, carrying a tablet. "Mr. Vieri is expecting you. Follow me." Amanda followed her down a hallway lined with glass-walled conference rooms. Through the windows, she glimpsed people in sharp suits, talking on phones, pointing at screens filled with data she didn't understand. The woman stopped at a heavy wooden door, knocked once, opened it. "Miss Hale, sir." "Thank you, Grace." Dominic stood behind a massive desk, silhouetted against windows that framed the Miami skyline. He looked different here, more formal, more powerful. This was his domain, and the ease with which he inhabited it was undeniable. "Amanda?" He smiled, gesturing to the chairs in front of his desk. "Please, sit." Amanda sat. The chair was leather, expensive, more comfortable than anything in her apartment. Dominic sat across from her, hands folded on the desk. "I'm glad you came." "I almost didn't," Amanda admitted. "Why not?" "Because this feels," she searched for the word, "too good to be real." Dominic nodded slowly. "I understand. You've been burned. You don't trust easy wins." He leaned back. "So let me be clear. This isn't charity, and it's not too good to be true. It's work. Difficult work. I need someone who can translate complex legal and technical documents accurately and quickly. You need income that doesn't require you to fight for scraps. It's a fair exchange." Amanda studied him, looking for the catch, the hidden cost. "What's the pay?" she asked. Dominic slid a folder across the desk. "Standard contract terms, $75 per 1,000 words for basic translation, $150 for legal documents, $200 for time-sensitive materials, payment within 48 hours of submission." Amanda's breath caught. $75. She was currently making $40. That's... She couldn't finish the sentence. "Industry standard," Dominic said, "for quality work." Amanda opened the folder, scanned the contract. Everything looked legitimate. Clear terms, defined scope, cancellation clauses that protected both parties. "I'll need to review this," she said quietly. "Of course. Take your time." Dominic stood, walked to the window, hands in his pockets. "But while you're thinking, let me show you something." He led her to a conference room 2 doors down. Inside, a woman in her 50s sat surrounded by stacks of documents, typing furiously on a laptop. "Amanda, this is Maria," Dominic said. "She's been translating for me for 6 years. Maria, say hello." Maria looked up, smiled warmly. "New recruit?" "Maybe," Dominic said. "Run while you can," Maria said, winking. "He's a tyrant about deadlines." "But pays well," Dominic countered. "True," Maria laughed. "Can't argue with that." They left Maria to her work. Dominic walked Amanda back to his office, poured her water from a crystal pitcher. "I wanted you to see that this is real," he said. "Maria's not the only one. I have 4 regular translators on contract. You'd be the 5th. Amanda sipped the water. Her hands still shook slightly, but less than yesterday. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Always." "Why me? You could hire anyone, someone with more experience, more credentials." "I don't need credentials," Dominic interrupted gently. "I need someone who understands what it's like to fight for stability. Someone who won't take this opportunity for granted." He paused. "And I need someone I can trust. That's not something you find on a resume." Amanda felt her eyes sting. She blinked hard, refusing to cry in this pristine office. "I'll do it," she said quietly. Dominic smiled. "Good. Sign the contract whenever you're ready. First project goes out Monday." They shook hands. His grip was steady, grounding. As Amanda turned to leave, Dominic spoke again. "Amanda?" She looked back. "That situation with your ex," Dominic said carefully. "If he escalates, if he files anything or shows up again, call me. Immediately." "I can handle—" "I know you can," Dominic said. "But you don't have to handle it alone." Quote. The following weeks blurred into a new rhythm. Amanda worked from her apartment, translating shipping contracts and legal documents for Vieri International. The work was challenging, dense, technical, requiring precision, but she was good at it, better than good. Dominic sent feedback after every submission. "Excellent work. Accurate and fast. Exactly what I needed." The money hit her account like oxygen. 60 days of back rent, paid in full. Groceries that weren't ramen. A new laptop when her old one finally died. Small things. Necessary things. Things that made survival feel less like drowning. Dominic checked in regularly, always professional, always respectful. Sometimes it was work-related. New project attached. Rush deadline, double rate. Sometimes it was personal. How are you feeling? Eating enough? Amanda told herself it was just good management, keeping his contractor healthy and functional. But there was something else beneath the surface, a care that felt genuine, not performative. One afternoon, 3 weeks into the contract, Amanda's apartment building lost power. She called the landlord. Voicemail. Called the utility company. 4-hour wait time. She sat in the dark, laptop battery draining, deadline looming, trying not to panic. Her phone rang. Dominic. Hey, she answered, trying to sound calm. You missed your usual check-in, Dominic said. Everything okay? Power's out. I'm fine. Just might need an extension on the Garcia contract. Silence on the other end. Then, where are you? Home. Why? Stay there. I'm sending someone. Dominic, you don't have to. 20 minutes, he said, and hung up. 18 minutes later, someone knocked. Amanda opened the door to find the man in the black jacket, the one who'd been at the cafe the day she met Dominic. Ms. Hale, he said, nodding politely. Mr. Vieri sent me. I'm Marco. Got a generator in the truck. Let me get your building sorted. That's really not necessary. Already here, Marco said, flashing a brief smile. Won't take long. 40 minutes later, Amanda's apartment had power. Marco refused payment, refused thanks, just tipped his head and left. Amanda sat on her mattress, staring at the lights, and called Dominic. You didn't have to do that, she said when he answered. I know. Why did you? Because you had work to finish, Dominic said simply. And because I could. Amanda closed her eyes. Thank you. You're welcome. A pause. Amanda? Yeah? When's your next prenatal appointment? The question caught her off guard. Friday. Why? Do you have a ride? Amanda hesitated. She'd been planning to take the bus. I'll manage. I'll send a car, Dominic said. Marco will drive you. No arguments. Dominic, Amanda. His voice was firm but kind. Let someone help you. Just this once. She wanted to argue. Wanted to insist she was fine, didn't need saving, could handle everything herself. But she was so tired. And the idea of not navigating the bus system while 6 months pregnant sounded like heaven. Okay, she whispered. Good. Marco will pick you up at 9. The following Friday, Marco drove Amanda to her prenatal appointment in a black SUV that smelled like leather and subtle cologne. He waited in the lobby, reading a newspaper while she went through the checkup. Everything looked good. Baby's heartbeat strong, weight gain on track. Amanda's blood pressure slightly elevated, but nothing concerning yet. You're doing well, the doctor said, smiling. But make sure you're managing stress. Pregnancy and anxiety don't mix well. Amanda nodded, knowing that managing stress was easier said than done when your ex-husband was threatening custody battles, and you were living paycheck to paycheck despite finally having decent work. She walked back to the lobby. Marco stood immediately, folding his newspaper. All good? He asked. All good, Amanda confirmed. On the drive back, Marco took a different route. Amanda noticed but didn't comment until they pulled up in front of a restaurant, the same Italian place Dominic had taken her weeks ago. What are we doing here? Amanda asked. Mr. Vieri's inside, Marco said. He wanted to buy you lunch, if that's all right. Amanda's heart did something complicated in her chest. He's here? Yes, ma'am. She should have said no, should have insisted Marco take her home, but she didn't. Okay, she said quietly. Dominic was waiting at the same corner table. He stood when she approached, pulled out her chair. How was the appointment? He asked. Good, everything's fine. Amanda sat, smoothing her dress. A new one, purchased with her first paycheck. Nothing fancy, but it fit. You didn't have to do this. I wanted to, Dominic said. He signaled the waiter. Hungry? They fell into conversation easily. Work, life, small things. Dominic told her about a shipping contract that had gone sideways, about Maria's daughter graduating college, about the stress of managing international logistics during hurricane season. Amanda told him about the baby kicking, about learning to cook actual meals instead of surviving on takeout, about the weird pregnancy cravings she couldn't explain. It felt normal, easy, like talking to someone who actually cared about the answers. Halfway through the meal, Amanda's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen. Her stomach dropped. Unknown number. But the message was familiar. "We need to talk. This doesn't have to be ugly. Call me." B. Dominic noticed her expression shift. "What's wrong?" Amanda showed him the phone. Dominic's jaw tightened. He pulled out his own phone, typed something quickly. "Block that number. He'll just use another one. Then block that one too." Dominic met her eyes. "And forward everything to my legal team. I'm serious, Amanda. Document everything." "Why do you care so much?" The question came out sharper than she intended. Dominic set down his phone, studied her. "Because I know what it's like to feel trapped," he said quietly. "And I have the resources to help someone get free. Why wouldn't I use them?" Amanda's throat tightened. "I'm not your responsibility." "No," Dominic agreed. "But you're someone I've decided to care about. And I don't do that lightly." The words hung between them, honest, direct, impossible to misinterpret. Amanda looked down at her plate. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to say anything," Dominic said gently. "Just let me help. That's all I'm asking." Amanda nodded, unable to speak past the knot in her chest. They finished lunch in quieter tones. When Marco drove her home, Amanda sat in the back seat, staring out the window, her hand pressed against her stomach. Something was shifting, something she didn't have words for yet. Dominic wasn't just her employer, wasn't just some kind stranger who'd stepped in once. He was becoming something else, something that scared her. Because the last time she'd trusted someone, it had nearly destroyed her. Seats. That night, Amanda lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, and felt the baby kick, hard, insistent, like a reminder that she wasn't just making decisions for herself anymore. Her phone buzzed. Another text. Different number. "I'm not going away, Amanda. We're going to resolve this, one way or another." She blocked the number, forwarded the message to the email address Dominic's legal team had given her. Then she called him. He answered on the second ring. "Amanda? What's wrong?" "He's not stopping," she said, voice shaking. "He keeps texting from different numbers. I don't know what to do." "Forward everything to my lawyers," Dominic said immediately. "And tomorrow, you're moving." "What?" "I own a building in Coral Gables, secure, gated. I have an empty unit on the 3rd floor, 2-bedroom, fully furnished. You're moving in." "Dominic, I can't." "Yes, you can, and you will." His voice was firm. "This isn't a debate, Amanda. You're not safe where you are. He knows where you live, and he's escalating. I'm not letting you stay there." "I can't afford—" "It's part of your contract," Dominic interrupted. "Secure housing for contractors working on sensitive projects. It's already in the terms." Amanda pulled the contract from her nightstand, scanned it. There, buried in the 3rd page, a clause about temporary housing arrangements. "This wasn't here before," she whispered. "It is now," Dominic said. "Marco will help you pack tomorrow. You'll be moved by the weekend." Amanda closed her eyes, felt tears slip down her temples. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. Dominic was quiet for a long moment. "Because you deserve to be safe," he said finally. "And because I can make that happen." A pause. "Let me, Amanda, please." She didn't have the strength to argue anymore. "Okay," she whispered. "Okay," Dominic echoed, and something in his voice shifted. Relief, maybe. Or something deeper. They stayed on the phone for another 20 minutes. Dominic talked about logistics, movers, timing, security protocols. Amanda listened, feeling the tight knot in her chest slowly loosen. When they finally hung up, Amanda stared at her phone in the darkness. She was moving into an apartment owned by a man she'd known for less than 2 months. A man who'd given her work, sent her to doctors, protected her from her ex, and was now offering her safety she couldn't afford to refuse. It should have felt terrifying. Instead, it felt like the first deep breath she'd taken in years. The apartment in Coral Gables had floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over a courtyard filled with palm trees and sculpted hedges. 2 bedrooms, marble countertops, a bathroom with a tub deep enough to actually lie down in. Amanda stood in the living room on moving day, surrounded by the few boxes that contained her entire life, and felt like she'd stepped into someone else's reality. Marco and another man, silent, efficient, built like they lifted cars for fun, carried her belongings up from the truck. It took them 20 minutes. Everything she owned fit into the corner of the living room like a sad exhibit of failure. "That's it?" Marco asked, looking at the boxes. Amanda nodded, throat tight. Marco studied her for a moment, then pulled out his phone. "Give me an hour." "For what?" "You'll see." He left without explaining. Amanda walked through the apartment alone. The second bedroom was already set up as a nursery. Crib, changing table, rocking chair, all in soft grays and whites. She hadn't mentioned needing nursery furniture, hadn't asked for any of this. Her phone buzzed. Dominic. "Settling in, okay?" Amanda stared at the message. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. "Amanda. This is too much." Dominic. "It's what you need." Amanda. "I don't know how to repay you." Dominic. "You already are. Best translator I've had in 5 years. Amanda sat down on the couch, buttery leather, probably worth more than her car. The baby kicked. She pressed her hand against her stomach, feeling the movement. Amanda. "Thank you." Dominic. "You're welcome. Dinner tonight? I'll bring food." Amanda hesitated. Every instinct screamed that she was getting in too deep, too fast, that accepting help always came with strings, that men who seemed too good to be true usually were. But she was tired of fighting alone. Amanda. "Okay." Back to him. Marco returned 90 minutes later with 2 other men and a truck full of groceries. They stocked her kitchen like they were prepping for a siege, fresh produce, pantry staples, enough food to last weeks. Amanda tried to pay. Marco refused. "Mr. Vieri's orders," he said simply. "This is insane," Amanda muttered, staring at shelves that had never been this full. Marco paused at the door on his way out. "Miss Hale? Mr. Vieri's a good man. I've worked for him 8 years. Never seen him take interest in someone's well-being like this." He met her eyes. "Just thought you should know that." Before Amanda could respond, he was gone. She spent the afternoon unpacking, trying not to think too hard about what Marco had said, trying not to notice how the apartment already felt safer than anywhere she'd lived in years, trying not to acknowledge the warmth spreading through her chest every time she thought about Dominic showing up tonight with dinner. At 6:30, her intercom buzzed. Amanda pressed the button. "Hello?" "It's me." Dominic's voice came through, slightly distorted. "Can I come up?" She buzzed him in, smoothed her shirt, told herself this was just employer-employee courtesy. Nothing more. When she opened the door, Dominic stood there holding bags from the Italian restaurant, wearing jeans and a dark sweater instead of his usual suit. He looked younger, more accessible, more dangerous. "Hi," he said, smiling. "Hi," Amanda echoed. They ate at her new dining table, sleek wood, 6 chairs she'd never fill. Dominic had brought carbonara, salad, fresh bread. They talked about work, about the apartment, about everything except the obvious tension building between them. "How's the baby?" Dominic asked, refilling her water. "Active," Amanda said. "Kicks constantly. I think she's training for soccer." "She?" Amanda shrugged. "Instinct. I don't actually know yet." Dominic's expression softened. "When do you find out?" "Next ultrasound, 2 weeks. Can I—" Dominic stopped himself, shook his head. "Never mind." "What?" "Nothing. Overstepping." "You've moved me into a luxury apartment and stocked my kitchen," Amanda said dryly. "I think we're past overstepping." Dominic laughed, a real laugh, unguarded. "Fair point." He met her eyes. "I was going to ask if I could come to the ultrasound, but it's not my place." Amanda's breath caught. She should say no, should maintain boundaries, should remember that this was her employer, not her partner, not her anything except the man who'd inserted himself into her life and refused to leave. "You can come," she heard herself say. Dominic's expression shifted, surprise, then something deeper. Gratitude, maybe? Or relief? Yeah? He asked quietly. Yeah. They finished dinner in comfortable silence. Dominic helped her clean up, moving around her kitchen like he belonged there. When he finally left, standing in the doorway with his jacket over one arm, he hesitated. Amanda? Yeah? You're safe here, he said. I need you to know that. This building has security, cameras. No one gets in without clearance. Bryce won't find you. Amanda nodded. I know. Dominic studied her face. Do you? I'm starting to. He smiled, small, genuine. Good. He turned to leave, then paused again. And Amanda? If you need anything, middle of the night, doesn't matter. You call me. I will. After he left, Amanda stood in the quiet apartment and felt something crack open inside her chest. Something she'd kept locked down since the day she left Bryce. Hope. Terrifying, fragile, impossible to contain. The next 3 weeks blurred into a routine that felt almost normal. Amanda worked from home, translating contracts and technical documents at the dining table overlooking the courtyard. Dominic checked in daily, sometimes by text, sometimes in person, always bringing food or asking how she felt. Marco drove her to appointments. The apartment became home in incremental ways, her books on the shelves, her coffee mug in the dish drainer, her body learning to relax into the safety she'd never had before. She stopped jumping at sudden noises, stopped checking the locks obsessively, stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. That was the mistake. On a Tuesday afternoon, Amanda's intercom buzzed. She pressed the button without thinking. Package delivery? A male voice said. I'm not expecting anything. Says here it's from Bryce Calder. Legal documents. Need a signature. Amanda's stomach dropped. Leave it at the desk. Need a signature, ma'am. I said leave it at the desk. She released the button, pulse hammering. Her phone was in her hand before she consciously decided to call Dominic. He answered immediately. What's wrong? There's someone downstairs claiming to have legal documents from Bryce. They want me to come down and sign. Her voice shook. This feels wrong. Don't go down, Dominic said sharply. Stay inside. Lock your door. I'm sending Marco now. Dominic, Amanda, lock the door. Don't open it for anyone except Marco. Understand? Okay. She locked the deadbolt. The chain. Pressed her back against the door and tried to breathe normally. Her phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Come down and sign, Amanda. Or I come up. Your choice. Her hands shook. She forwarded it to Dominic. He called back instantly. I'm 10 minutes out. Marco's already in the building. Do not engage. He's threatening to come up. He won't get past security, Dominic said firmly. Building protocol. No one gets to residential floors without resident approval. You didn't approve him? No? Then he's stuck in the lobby. Just stay put. Amanda slid down the door, sitting on the floor with her knees pulled up as much as her pregnant belly allowed. The baby kicked, hard, insistent. She pressed her hand against the movement. It's okay, she whispered. To the baby, to herself. We're okay. Someone knocked on her door. Amanda's breath stopped. Ms. Hale? Marco's voice, calm and professional. It's Marco. I'm here. Amanda scrambled up, looked through the peephole. Marco stood there, phone to his ear. She unlocked the door. Marco stepped inside, still on the phone. Yes, sir. I've got her. He looked at Amanda. Mr. Vieri wants to talk to you. He handed her the phone. Amanda? Dominic's voice, tight with control. You okay? Yeah, Marco's here. Good. Listen to me. The man downstairs isn't a process server. He's a private investigator Bryce hired to confirm your location. Building security has him on camera trying to bribe the front desk for your apartment number. Amanda's legs went weak. She sat down hard on the couch. He was going to force his way up and serve you with bullshit custody papers designed to scare you into contact, Dominic finished. But he didn't. And now building security is filing a police report for attempted trespassing and harassment. Amanda closed her eyes. How did he find me? Probably tracked you through your bank account or credit card, Dominic said. We'll fix that. But right now I need you to stay calm. Marco's there. I'm 5 minutes away. Everything's handled. Okay, Amanda whispered. Say it again. Okay. Good girl, Dominic said quietly. I'll be right there. Marco took his phone back, pocketed it. You want water or something? Amanda shook her head. She felt numb, stupid, like she'd been living in a fantasy where moving buildings would somehow erase Bryce's ability to reach her. Dominic arrived 4 minutes later, moving through her apartment door like a force of nature. He looked at Marco, who gave a subtle nod and left without a word. Then Dominic was in front of her, kneeling so they were eye level, hands gentle on her shoulders. Breathe, he said. Amanda tried, failed. Her chest felt too tight. Amanda, look at me. She met his eyes, dark, steady, anchoring. You're safe, Dominic said. I promise you, you're safe. He found me, Amanda choked out. I thought I could just disappear and he's not going to stop, Dominic said bluntly. Men like him don't. Not until someone makes them. I don't know how to make him stop. Dominic's jaw tightened. I do. Something in his tone made Amanda pull back slightly. What does that mean? Dominic stood, paced to the window, hands in his pockets. His shoulders were tense. When he turned back, his expression was carefully neutral. I can make this problem go away, he said. Permanently. Amanda's pulse spiked. How? Do you really want to know? The question hung between them, heavy, loaded with implications Amanda wasn't ready to examine. No, she said quietly. Dominic nodded. Then trust me to handle it. I can't ask you to, You're not asking, Dominic interrupted. I'm offering. He moved closer, sat on the coffee table facing her. Amanda, I need you to understand something. Bryce is escalating because he sees you as property he lost. He's not going to stop with legal threats. He's going to keep pushing until someone pushes back harder. And you're that someone? If you let me be, yes. Amanda stared at him. At this man who'd appeared in her life 6 weeks ago and systematically dismantled every wall she'd built. Who fed her, protected her, gave her work and housing and safety. Who looked at her like she mattered. Who are you? She whispered. Dominic's expression flickered. What? Really? Who are you? Because nobody does all this out of kindness. Nobody has this much power, this many resources, unless... She stopped, pieces clicking together in her mind. The men who follow you around, the way people treat you. Marco. She met his eyes. You're not just a businessman, are you? Dominic held her gaze, silent. Say it, Amanda pressed. Whatever you are, just tell me. Dominic leaned forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. When he spoke, his voice was quiet, careful. I run an organization that operates in spaces the law doesn't reach, he said. Import-export is real, but it's not all I do. There are other interests, other operations, things that require discretion and influence. Amanda's stomach twisted. You're telling me you're, what, Mafia? That's a word people use, Dominic said. It's not the one I'd choose, but it's close enough. The apartment felt too small suddenly, too quiet. So everything you've done for me, Amanda said slowly. The job, this apartment, the protection, that's what? Some kind of mob charity project? Dominic's expression hardened. No. Then what? It's me caring about someone, Dominic said, voice rising slightly. It's me seeing a woman getting crushed by a piece of shit ex-husband and deciding to do something about it. He stopped, took a breath. It's me not being able to walk away from you. The admission landed like a physical blow. Amanda stood, paced to the window, stared down at the courtyard. I can't do this, she said. Can't do what? This, she gestured between them. Whatever this is, I can't... Dominic, I just got out of one nightmare. I can't walk into another one. You think I'm a nightmare? His voice was flat, hurt buried underneath. Amanda turned. I think you're dangerous. I think everyone around you is dangerous. And I think if I let myself, She stopped, couldn't finish. Let yourself what? Dominic stood, moved closer, not touching, just present. Say it. Let myself trust you completely, Amanda whispered. Let myself need you. She pressed her hand against her stomach. I have a baby coming. I can't bring her into whatever your life is. Dominic flinched. So what are you saying? I'm saying I need to figure out how to protect myself. Without you. Amanda, I'll finish the current contracts, Amanda continued, forcing the words out. But after that, I think we should end the work arrangement, and I'll start looking for my own place. Dominic stared at her. Something raw and unguarded crossed his face before he locked it down. Is that really what you want? He asked quietly. No, Amanda's heart screamed, but her mouth said, yes. Dominic nodded slowly, stepped back. Okay. Okay? If that's what you need, then okay. He moved toward the door, paused with his hand on the knob. But the apartment is yours for as long as you want it. That doesn't change. And if Bryce escalates, if anything happens, you call me, no matter what you've decided about us. Dominic, I mean it, Amanda. He looked back at her. I won't force myself into your life, but I'm not leaving you unprotected either, whether you want my help or not. He left. Amanda stood in the empty apartment, listening to the silence, and felt something inside her chest splinter. The next 5 days were hell. Amanda worked mechanically, translating documents without absorbing their content. She slept poorly, waking every few hours to check the locks. The apartment felt too big, too quiet. She missed Dominic's texts, his check-ins, the way he'd just show up with food and conversation. She told herself this was the right choice, the safe choice. Her heart called her a liar. On Saturday, her phone rang, unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello? Ms. Hale. A woman's voice, professional. This is Rachel Chen from Brickell Family Law. I'm calling on behalf of Bryce Calder regarding a custody matter. Amanda's blood went cold. I don't want to talk to you. I understand this is difficult, but Mr. Calder is prepared to file for full custody unless you agree to mediation. We'd like to avoid court if possible. He abandoned me when I was pregnant, Amanda cut in. He has no claim. Mr. Calder disputes that characterization. He claims you left without notice and cut off all communication, preventing him from participating in prenatal care. That's a lie. That will be for the court to decide, Rachel said smoothly. But litigation is expensive and stressful. Mr. Calder is willing to negotiate shared custody if you're reasonable. Amanda's hands shook. I have nothing to say to him. Then you'll be hearing from us officially. Expect service within the week. Rachel paused. For what it's worth, Ms. Hale, cooperation now will look better to a judge than obstruction. The line went dead. Amanda sat frozen, phone pressed to her ear, listening to dead air. Then she called Dominic. He answered on the first ring. Amanda? He's filing for custody. The words came out broken. His lawyer just called. They're serving me within the week. Silence. Then, I'm coming over. You don't have to. I'm already in the car. He hung up. Amanda paced the apartment, hands pressed against her stomach, trying to breathe through the panic. The baby kicked, frantic, like she could sense her mother's terror. Dominic arrived 12 minutes later. He didn't knock. Used the key Marco must have given him. Walked straight to where Amanda stood in the living room and pulled her into his arms. Amanda broke. She sobbed into his chest, months of fear and exhaustion and loneliness pouring out in ragged gasps. Dominic held her, one hand cradling the back of her head, the other pressed against her spine, steady and solid and safe. I've got you, he murmured. I've got you. When Amanda finally pulled back, her face was swollen, her nose running. Dominic handed her his handkerchief without comment. I'm sorry, she choked out. For what? For pushing you away. For trying to do this alone when I... She couldn't finish. When you what? Dominic asked gently. Amanda looked up at him. At this man who'd protected her, fed her, given her safety and work, and something that felt dangerously close to love. When I need you, she whispered. Dominic's expression softened. He cupped her face in his hands, thumbs brushing away tears. Then let me help, he said. Please, let me make this right. Amanda nodded, unable to speak. Dominic pulled out his phone, dialed. Marcus? I need you at Amanda's apartment, now. Bring everything you have on Bryce Calder. He paused. Everything. He hung up, guided Amanda to the couch, sat beside her, close enough that their knees touched. Who's Marcus? Amanda asked. My lawyer. Best in the state. Dominic took her hand. We're going to bury Bryce in so much legal documentation that he'll wish he'd never contacted you. Every text, every call, every threat, we're documenting it all and filing for a restraining order. Then we're going after him for harassment and filing a countersuit for emotional distress. I can't afford— I can, Dominic said firmly. And I am. This isn't negotiable, Amanda. Why? The question came out desperate. Why do you care this much? Dominic looked at her. Really looked, like he was trying to memorize her face. Because when I saw you in that cafe, terrified and alone, something in me decided you were mine to protect, he said quietly. And I don't make decisions like that lightly. Once I commit, I don't walk away. Even when I push you away? Especially then. Amanda's breath hitched. Dominic. The intercom buzzed. Dominic stood. That's Marcus. He pressed the button, buzzed him up. Marcus arrived with a briefcase and a tablet. He was 50s, gray hair, sharp eyes, that assessed Amanda in 2 seconds flat. Ms. Hale, he said, shaking her hand, Dominic's told me about your situation. I need to record your statement. Everything Bryce has done since you left him. Every contact, every threat, every attempt at intimidation. Can you do that? Amanda nodded. They spent the next 2 hours going through everything. Marcus recorded it all, made notes, asked pointed questions that made Amanda relive moments she'd tried to bury. Dominic sat beside her the entire time, silent support, his presence keeping her grounded. When Marcus finally packed up, he looked at Dominic. This is solid, he said. We can get the restraining order fast-tracked, and the countersuit will make him think twice about proceeding. He turned to Amanda. But I need to be clear. This will get ugly. He'll fight back. He'll make accusations. You need to be prepared for that. I am, Amanda said. She felt hollow, exhausted. Marcus nodded. I'll file tomorrow. You'll have preliminary protection by midweek. After he left, Amanda sat on the couch, staring at nothing. Dominic sat beside her. You okay? I don't know. Amanda looked at him. What if he wins? What if a judge believes him? And he won't, Dominic said. I promise you, Amanda, he won't. You can't promise that. Yes, I can. Dominic's voice was steel. Because I'm not going to let it happen. Amanda wanted to believe him, wanted to let herself fall into the certainty he offered. I'm scared, she whispered. I know. Dominic pulled her against his side. She went willingly, curling into his warmth. But you're not alone anymore, you understand? Whatever happens next, you don't face it alone. Amanda closed her eyes, felt the baby move, felt Dominic's heartbeat under her ear. Okay, she breathed. They sat like that for a long time, the apartment growing dark around them, neither moving. Finally, Dominic spoke. I should go. Let you rest. Don't. The word escaped before Amanda could stop it. Dominic looked down at her. What? Don't go. Amanda sat up, met his eyes. Stay, please. I don't want to be alone tonight. Something shifted in Dominic's expression. Heat and tenderness mixed together. Are you sure? Amanda nodded. Dominic stood, extended his hand. Amanda took it. He led her to the bedroom. They lay down on top of the covers, fully clothed. Dominic pulled her back against his chest, one arm draped over her waist, hand resting on her pregnant belly. The baby kicked against his palm. Dominic went still. Was that? Yeah, Amanda said softly. Dominic's hand spread wider, cradling the movement. My God, he whispered. Amanda closed her eyes. Let herself have this. One night of safety. One night of not being alone. Dominic? Yeah? I'm glad you didn't listen when I pushed you away. She felt him smile against her hair. Me too. They fell asleep like that, tangled together. Amanda's last conscious thought was that this felt right, dangerous and complicated and right. Agit. Amanda woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and an empty bed. Panic spiked. Then she heard sounds from the kitchen. Coffee brewing, dishes clinking. She found Dominic standing at the stove, making eggs. He'd rolled up his sleeves, and there was something domestic about the scene that made Amanda's chest ache. Morning, he said, glancing over his shoulder. You cook? Badly, but you need breakfast. He slid eggs onto a plate, added toast. Sit. Amanda sat, accepted the plate, ate in silence while Dominic leaned against the counter, drinking coffee. I have a meeting at 10, he said, but Marco will be outside all day. If you need anything, I know. Amanda set down her fork. Dominic? Yeah? Last night. I wasn't trying to. She fumbled for words. I know, Dominic said gently. You needed someone. I was here, that's all. But it wasn't all. They both knew it. What happens now? Amanda asked. Now we wait for Marcus to file the paperwork. We document everything Bryce does, and we prepare for whatever comes next. And us? Dominic set down his coffee, crossed to her, knelt so they were eye level. There is no us unless you want there to be, he said carefully. I'm here because I choose to be, because walking away from you isn't something I'm capable of anymore. But I won't push. I won't assume. You set the terms, Amanda. Whatever you're comfortable with. Amanda reached out, traced his jaw with her fingertips. He leaned into the touch. I don't know what I want, she admitted. Everything's so tangled. You're my employer, my protector, I don't even know what to call you. Call me Dominic, he said. Just Dominic. Everything else we'll figure out as we go. Amanda nodded. Okay. Dominic stood, pressed a kiss to her forehead, brief, warm, devastatingly tender. I'll call you later, he said. After he left, Amanda sat at the table, hand pressed against her stomach, trying to process the shift that had happened overnight. She'd let him in, completely. No more walls. And the terrifying part was how right it felt. The restraining order was approved Wednesday. Bryce was served Thursday. Friday morning, Amanda's phone exploded with texts from numbers she didn't recognize. You'll regret this. Using some gangster's money to buy lawyers? Pathetic. I'll see you in court, and I'll win. Amanda forwarded them all to Marcus and Dominic, then blocked every number. Saturday, someone keyed her car in the building's garage. Security footage showed a figure in a hood, no face visible. Sunday, flowers were delivered to her apartment. No card, just 24 black roses. Monday morning, Amanda went to her regular prenatal appointment. Everything was fine, baby healthy, mother's blood pressure elevated but manageable. She was walking to her car when someone called her name. Amanda? She turned. Bryce stood 20 feet away, hands in his pockets, looking like he'd just stepped out of a business meeting. Amanda's pulse hammered. You're violating the restraining order. I'm in a public parking lot, Bryce said calmly. I'm not approaching you. I'm not threatening you. I'm just talking. I have nothing to say to you. Then listen. Bryce took a step closer. Amanda stepped back. This doesn't have to be war, Amanda. Drop the restraining order. Drop the countersuit. Let's work this out like adults. We tried that. You threatened me. I was upset, Bryce said. I made mistakes. But I'm the father of that baby. I have rights. You have nothing, Amanda said, voice shaking. You left. You chose this. And you chose to run straight into the arms of some criminal, Bryce shot back. You think I don't know who Dominic Vieri is? You think I haven't done my research? He's dangerous, Amanda, and you've put our child in his path. She's not your child. DNA will prove that, Bryce interrupted. And when it does, no judge will let you raise a kid in the middle of organized crime. Amanda's vision blurred. Get away from me. I'll see you in court, Bryce said. He turned and walked toward a black sedan. Amanda fumbled for her phone, called Dominic. He answered immediately. What's wrong? He was here, her voice cracked. At the doctor's office. He waited for me. Where are you right now? Parking lot. Get in your car. Lock the doors. Marco's 10 minutes out. Dominic's voice was tight with controlled fury. Is he still there? Amanda looked around. The black sedan was gone. No, he left. Did he touch you? No, just talked. What did he say? Amanda relayed the conversation. Dominic went silent. Dominic? I'm going to kill him, Dominic said quietly. Don't. Not literally, Dominic cut in. But legally, professionally, I'm going to destroy him, Amanda. He just threatened you in violation of a restraining order. That's jail time. It was a public parking lot. He'll say he didn't know I'd be there. I don't care what he says, Dominic said. This ends now. Amanda heard Marco's voice in the background. Then Dominic again. Marco's pulling up behind you. Follow him back to the apartment. I'll meet you there. Dominic, I can drive myself. Amanda. His voice softened. Please, just this once. Let me know you're safe. Amanda's throat tightened. Okay. Marco appeared in her rearview mirror. She followed him home, hands shaking on the wheel. Dominic was waiting in her apartment when she arrived. He looked at her for 2 seconds, then pulled her into his arms. I'm okay, Amanda whispered against his chest. You shouldn't have to be just okay, Dominic said roughly. You should feel safe, always. I do, Amanda said. When you're here. Dominic pulled back, cupped her face. Then I'm not leaving, not anymore. What? I'm staying, Dominic said firmly. Here, in this apartment, with you, until Bryce is dealt with. You can't. I can. And I am. His thumbs brushed her cheekbones. No more half measures, Amanda. No more dancing around this. He's escalating, which means I'm escalating too. Dominic, do you trust me? He asked. Amanda looked into his eyes, saw determination, protection, something deeper that neither of them had named yet. Yes, she whispered. Then let me do this, Dominic said. Let me keep you safe. Amanda nodded, unable to speak past the lump in her throat. Dominic kissed her forehead, lingered there. I'll have Marco bring some of my things. You won't even know I'm here. But Amanda would know. She already did. Because somewhere between the cafe and this moment, Dominic Vieri had stopped being a stranger and become the person she couldn't imagine surviving without. And that terrified her more than Bryce ever could. That night, they established a new routine. Dominic took the guest room, kept his clothes in the closet there, gave Amanda space, but he was present, cooking breakfast, working from her dining table, checking in between calls. It should have felt invasive. Instead, it felt like the apartment had been waiting for him to fill it. 3 days later, Marcus called with news. Bryce violated the restraining order, he said. We have him on security footage approaching you in the parking lot. I filed a motion to hold him in contempt. Hearings scheduled for next week. Will that stop him? Amanda asked. It'll slow him down, Marcus said. Judges don't take violations lightly. He's looking at fines, possibly jail time if he does it again. After the call, Amanda found Dominic on the balcony, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in rapid Italian. He saw her, ended the call. Everything okay? She asked. Fine, business. But his expression was tight, controlled. What aren't you telling me? Amanda asked. Dominic studied her. You really want to know? Yes. He sighed, leaned against the railing. I had someone look into Bryce's financials. He's drowning in debt, gambling mostly. He owes some people who don't accept late payments. Amanda's stomach twisted. How much? Enough that he's desperate. Dominic met her eyes. Which explains the custody play. He thinks if he can get shared custody, he can leverage you for money, or leverage access to me through you. That's insane. That's desperation. Dominic moved closer. Which makes him more dangerous. Desperate men do stupid things. Like what? Like show up at your doctor's office when there's a restraining order. Dominic's jaw tightened. Like escalate until someone gets hurt. Amanda pressed her hand against her stomach. The baby kicked, hard. What do we do? She whispered. We stay vigilant, Dominic said. We document everything. And we trust that the legal system will handle him before I have to. The unspoken threat hung in the air. Dominic, I won't let him hurt you, Dominic said quietly. Whatever that takes. Amanda believed him. That was the terrifying part. The contempt hearing happened on a Wednesday. Amanda sat in the courtroom, Dominic beside her, Marcus at the front table. Bryce sat across the aisle with his lawyer, a thin woman in a cheap suit who looked exhausted before the proceeding even started. The judge was a woman in her 60s, steel gray hair, expression that suggested she'd heard every excuse and believed none of them. Mr. Calder, she said, looking over her glasses, you're here because you allegedly violated a restraining order issued less than 2 weeks ago. How do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor, Bryce said smoothly. I was unaware Ms. Hale would be at that location. It was coincidental. Coincidental, the judge repeated flatly. Marcus stood. Your Honor, we have testimony from Ms. Hale stating that Mr. Calder has been harassing her for months. Text messages from multiple numbers, flowers delivered to her residence, property damage to her vehicle. This parking lot encounter was not coincidental. It was targeted harassment. The judge looked at Bryce. Do you have evidence supporting your claim that this was coincidence? Bryce's lawyer stood. Your Honor, Mr. Calder's phone records show... I asked Mr. Calder, the judge interrupted. Not you. Bryce straightened. I had a doctor's appointment in the same building, Your Honor. I didn't know Amanda would be there. What kind of appointment? The judge asked. Bryce hesitated. Personal medical issue? I'll need documentation. I don't have it with me. The judge's expression hardened. Mr. Calder, you're asking this court to believe that you, a man under a restraining order, just happened to have a medical appointment in the exact building where Miss Hale has her prenatal care, at the exact time she was leaving, and you have no documentation to support this? I can provide it later. You'll provide it now, or I'll hold you in contempt. The judge looked at the bailiff. Adjourn for 30 minutes. Mr. Calder, produce that documentation or prepare for consequences. They reconvened 28 minutes later. Bryce had nothing. The judge fined him $5,000 and extended the restraining order for 6 months. Outside the courtroom, Amanda leaned against the wall, trying to breathe. It's not enough, she said. He'll just keep coming. Maybe, Dominic said. He looked at Marcus. Time for Plan B? Marcus nodded. I'll make the calls. What's Plan B? Amanda asked. Dominic guided her toward the exit. You'll see. 3 days later, Bryce was arrested for check fraud. Something about falsified business accounts. Amanda didn't get all the details. Didn't want them. She just knew that Dominic had made one phone call, and suddenly Bryce's problems multiplied. Did you? She started that evening. I provided information to the appropriate authorities, Dominic said carefully. What they did with it was their choice. Amanda stared at him. You set him up. I gave them facts, Dominic corrected. Bryce set himself up by committing crimes. I just made sure those crimes came to light. That's effective, Dominic finished. And legal. He moved closer. Amanda, I told you I'd handle this. This is me handling it. By destroying him? By protecting you, Dominic said firmly. There's a difference. Amanda sank onto the couch. I don't know if I should be grateful or terrified. Be grateful, Dominic said, sitting beside her. Fear can come later if you need it. Amanda looked at him. This man who'd upended her life in every possible way, who'd given her safety and work and something that felt increasingly like love, who operated in shadows she didn't understand and wielded power that should frighten her. Who are you really? She whispered. Dominic took her hand. I'm the man who's going to keep you safe, no matter what that costs. And there, in the quiet of her apartment, with her hand in his and the baby moving between them, Amanda made a decision. She stopped fighting, stopped questioning, stopped trying to maintain distance from the one person who'd proven, again and again, that he wouldn't let her fall. Okay, she breathed. Okay? Dominic asked. I'm in, Amanda said. Whatever this is, however complicated, I'm in. Dominic's expression shifted, relief and heat and something fierce. You're sure? No, Amanda admitted, but I'm done pretending I can do this without you. Dominic pulled her close, pressed his lips to her temple. Then we do it together, he murmured. All of it. Amanda nodded against his chest. Outside, Miami's lights glittered against the darkening sky. Inside, something fragile and terrifying and undeniable took root. Neither of them knew it yet, but in 2 weeks, everything would change. The baby would come early, and Amanda would finally understand exactly what it meant to have Dominic Vieri's protection, and his heart. The contraction started at 3 in the morning. Amanda woke to a sharp tightening across her abdomen. different from the Braxton Hicks she'd been having for weeks. This was focused, deliberate, her body announcing that ready or not, the baby was coming. She was only 34 weeks. Dominic. Her voice came out thin. She reached across the bed. He'd started sleeping there a week ago, after she'd woken from a nightmare and found him on the couch, keeping watch. His side was warm, empty. Another contraction hit. Stronger. Amanda gasped, pressed both hands against her stomach. The bedroom door opened. Dominic stood there in sweatpants and nothing else, phone pressed to his ear. His eyes locked on her face, and he ended the call immediately. What's wrong? Contractions. Amanda tried to breathe through the tightening. Real ones. I think the baby's coming. Dominic was beside her in 2 strides. How far apart? This is only the second one. Amanda checked her phone. 5 minutes. We're going to the hospital. Dominic was already moving, grabbing her pre-packed bag from the closet, pulling a shirt over his head. Can you walk? Amanda nodded, swung her legs over the side of the bed, stood. Another contraction slammed into her, and she doubled over, gripping the bedpost. Dominic's arm went around her waist. I've got you. It's too early, Amanda gasped. She's not supposed to come yet. She's coming anyway. Dominic's voice was steady, controlled. And everything's going to be fine. He guided her to the elevator, into the garage where his car waited. Marco appeared from nowhere, opening the back door. Amanda slid in, focusing on breathing. Dominic climbed in beside her, took her hand. Call Dr. Reynolds, he told Marco. Tell her we're 10 minutes out. The drive blurred. Streetlights. Red lights that Dominic ignored. Amanda's hand crushing his as contractions came faster. 4 minutes. 3.5. They pulled up to the hospital's emergency entrance. A wheelchair waited. Nurses swarmed. Someone asked questions Amanda couldn't focus on. Dominic answered everything. Her name, her due date, her doctor's information. He knew it all. Dr. Reynolds met them in a delivery room. She examined Amanda quickly, efficiently. You're at 6 centimeters, she said. This baby's not waiting. We need to prep for delivery now. Terror spiked through Amanda's chest. Is she okay? Is something wrong? Her heartbeat's strong, Dr. Reynolds said. But she's premature. We'll have a NICU team standing by just in case. Just in case. The words echoed in Amanda's head. Dominic squeezed her hand. Look at me. Amanda met his eyes. You're not doing this alone, he said quietly. I'm right here. Whatever happens. You can't. You're not. Amanda's breath hitched. They weren't married, weren't even officially together. He had no legal right to be in this room. Try to make me leave, Dominic said. His tone left no room for argument. Dr. Reynolds glanced between them, then at the nurse. He can stay. The next 3 hours were pain and pressure, and Dominic's voice in her ear, steady and grounding. Push. Breathe. You're doing it. Almost there. His hand never left hers. When the pain got so bad she screamed, he didn't flinch, just held on tighter. At 6:47 a.m., Amanda's daughter entered the world, tiny, blue-tinged, silent for 3 seconds that felt like eternity. Then she cried, a thin, reedy sound that was the most beautiful thing Amanda had ever heard. She's here, Dr. Reynolds said, lifting the baby. 4 pounds, 2 ounces, small but feisty. The NICU team descended immediately, checking, measuring, wrapping the baby in warming blankets. Amanda tried to sit up to see, but exhaustion pinned her to the bed. Can I hold her? She asked desperately. Just for a moment, a NICU nurse said. Then we need to get her upstairs for monitoring. They placed the baby on Amanda's chest. So small, impossibly fragile. Dark hair plastered to her skull, eyes scrunched shut against the harsh lights. Hi, Amanda whispered, tears streaming down her face. Hi, baby girl. The baby's tiny hand curled against Amanda's skin. Then they were taking her away. Amanda watched through blurred vision as they wheeled the isolette toward the door. Dominic moved with them. Where are you taking her? NICU, 4th floor, the nurse said. She needs respiratory support, standard for premature births. I'm coming with you. Sir, the mother needs to rest, Dominic said firmly. He looked back at Amanda. I'll stay with her. I won't leave her alone. I promise. Amanda nodded, unable to speak. Dominic followed the NICU team out, and Amanda lay in the delivery room, shaking, alone, her body empty and her daughter somewhere above her, struggling to breathe. The next 6 hours passed in a fog. Nurses came and went. Dr. Reynolds checked Amanda's vitals, declared everything normal, said she could go up to the NICU as soon as she felt strong enough. Amanda tried to stand. Her legs wouldn't hold her. "Give it time," Dr. Reynolds said gently. Time. Amanda didn't have time. Her daughter was upstairs, alone. No, not alone. Dominic was there. At noon, a nurse wheeled Amanda to the NICU. The doors required special access. Scrubbing in. Sterile procedures. Amanda's hands shook as she washed them. Inside, the NICU was all beeping monitors and hushed voices and tiny humans in plastic boxes fighting for survival. The nurse led her to the third isolette on the left. Her daughter lay there, tinier than Amanda remembered, tubes and wires attached to her miniature body. A breathing tube. Heart monitor. IV in her impossibly small hand. Dominic sat in a chair beside the isolette, one finger extended through the access port, the baby's hand wrapped around it. He looked up when Amanda approached. His eyes were red-rimmed. "Hey," he said softly. "Hey." Amanda's voice cracked. She lowered herself into the chair on the other side of the isolette. "How is she?" "Stable," Dominic said. "Breathing on her own with a little help. They said that's good for 34 weeks. He paused. "She's strong, like her mother." Amanda pressed her hand against the plastic barrier. "I haven't even named her." "You will." Dominic withdrew his finger carefully. The baby's hand flexed, searching for the contact. "She's not going anywhere." They sat like that for hours, watching monitors, listening to beeps. A nurse came by every 30 minutes, checking vitals, making notes. "You can touch her," the nurse said to Amanda. "Through the ports. Skin contact helps." Amanda slid her hand through the opening. Her daughter's skin was warm, soft, impossibly delicate. The baby turned her head slightly, as if recognizing her mother's touch. "Hi, baby," Amanda whispered. "I'm here. Mama's here." Dominic watched them, expression unreadable. "You should go home," Amanda said quietly. "Get some rest." "Not happening." "Dominic, Amanda." He leaned forward. "I was there when she was born. I held her hand for 6 hours while you recovered. I'm not leaving now." "She's not your responsibility." "Yes, she is." The words came out flat, final. Amanda looked at him. "Why?" "Because you're mine," Dominic said simply. "Which makes her mine. That's how this works." Amanda's throat tightened. "We've never even—" "I know." Dominic's expression softened. "But that doesn't change what I feel or what I'm willing to do." Before Amanda could respond, the NICU doors burst open. Marco strode in, moving fast, face grim. He bent close to Dominic's ear, spoke in rapid Italian. Dominic's entire body went rigid. "When?" he asked, voice like ice. Marco responded, more Italian. "Urgent." Dominic stood. "I need to make a call." "What's wrong?" Amanda asked. "Nothing you need to worry about." But his expression said otherwise. "Dominic, stay with her." Dominic gestured to the baby. "I'll be right back." He left. Marco followed. Amanda sat alone, hand still touching her daughter through the isolette port, fear creeping up her spine. Something was wrong. Dominic didn't come back for 2 hours. When he finally returned, his expression was locked down tight. Professional. The version of himself Amanda had seen in his office that first day. Controlled, distant, dangerous. "What happened?" Amanda asked immediately. "Work issue." Dominic sat, but didn't relax. "It's handled." "You're lying." Dominic looked at her. "Yes." The admission surprised her. "Why?" "Because if I tell you the truth, you'll panic, and you need to stay calm for her." He nodded toward the isolette. Amanda's pulse spiked. "Tell me." Dominic leaned forward, elbows on his knees, hands clasped. When he spoke, his voice was low, careful. Someone tried to access the hospital's patient records, he said. Specifically, maternity and NICU records from the last 24 hours. Amanda's blood went cold. Bryce. Probably, or someone he hired. Dominic's jaw tightened. Hospital security caught it. No information was accessed. But he knows you gave birth. He's looking for the baby. He can't. The restraining order. The restraining order means nothing if he's desperate enough. Dominic met her eyes. Which is why I've upgraded security. Marco's outside the NICU doors. 2 more men are covering the exits. No one gets near this floor without clearance. Amanda looked at her daughter, so small, so vulnerable. He wants to take her. He wants leverage, Dominic corrected, and he's not getting it. What if he won't? Dominic's voice turned to steel. I promise you, Amanda, he won't touch her. Amanda wanted to believe him, but fear clawed at her chest. How long can you keep this up? How long before? As long as it takes. Dominic, you can't guard us forever. Watch me. He stood, paced to the window overlooking the hospital parking lot. I've dealt with threats worse than Bryce Calder. I know how to neutralize problems. By destroying them? If necessary. Dominic turned back. Would that bother you? Amanda opened her mouth, closed it. She didn't know the answer. I need to feed her, she said instead, deflecting. A nurse approached. Actually, we'd like to try nursing if you're up for it. Skin-to-skin contact is beneficial for premature babies. They showed Amanda how to hold her daughter, carefully, supporting her head, mindful of the wires. The baby latched immediately, instinct overriding her fragile state. Amanda looked down at her daughter's face and felt something crack open in her chest. Love so fierce it hurt. Protective rage that would burn down the world if anyone tried to hurt this tiny human. She understood Dominic's violence suddenly, understood why he operated in shadows and made problems disappear, because some things were worth protecting, no matter the cost. 3 days later, the NICU doctors declared the baby ready to go home. She'd gained weight, breathing independently, all vitals stable. She's a fighter, Dr. Reynolds said, signing discharge papers. But you'll need to be vigilant. Premature babies are vulnerable to infection. Any sign of fever, difficulty breathing, lethargy, you bring her straight back. Amanda nodded, absorbing instructions while Dominic asked pointed questions about warning signs and emergency protocols. They'd named her during those 3 days. Lucia. Light. Because after months of darkness, she was exactly that. Marco drove them home. Amanda in the back seat, Lucia strapped into a car seat that looked impossibly large around her tiny body. Dominic sat beside them, one hand resting on the car seat, watching the baby like she might disappear. The apartment had been transformed. The nursery was fully stocked now, not just furniture, but supplies. Diapers, bottles, a sterilizer, a monitor system that probably cost more than Amanda's car. Someone had filled the fridge with prepared meals. The living room had flowers. When did you... Amanda started. While you were in the hospital, Dominic said. I wanted you coming home to everything you needed. Amanda looked at him. At this man who'd appointed himself guardian of her life, who'd been there for her daughter's birth, who'd held vigil in the NICU for 3 days without complaint. Thank you, she whispered. You don't have to thank me. Dominic took Lucia's car seat, carried it to the nursery, placed it gently on the changing table. This is what family does. Family. The words settled between them. Dominic. Amanda's phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. Hello? Silence. Then breathing. I know she's home, Bryce's voice said. I know you're at that apartment in Coral Gables. And I know Dominic Vieri thinks he can protect you. Amanda's blood turned to ice. She looked at Dominic. He'd gone perfectly still, reading her expression. You're violating... I don't care about the restraining order, Bryce interrupted. I care about my daughter, the one you're raising in the middle of a criminal organization. She's not your daughter. DNA will prove otherwise. Bryce's tone shifted, uglier. And when it does, I'm going to make sure everyone knows what kind of environment you've put her in, the kind of man you're living with. What do you think Child Protective Services will say about that? Amanda's vision blurred. You wouldn't. Try me. Bryce paused. Drop the charges. Give me access to my daughter, or I'll make sure you lose her to the state. The line went dead. Amanda stood frozen, phone pressed to her ear, the world tilting sideways. Dominic crossed to her in 2 strides. What did he say? Amanda couldn't speak, just handed him the phone. Dominic checked the call history. His expression went dark. He threatened you. He threatened Lucia. Amanda's voice broke. He said he'd call CPS. Tell them about you, about what you do. He'll make me look unfit. He's bluffing. What if he's not? Amanda looked toward the nursery where Lucia slept, oblivious to the war being waged around her. What if they investigate and find whatever it is you're involved in and decide I'm putting her at risk? Dominic's jaw clenched. That won't happen. You can't know that. Yes, I can. Dominic pulled out his own phone, dialed. Marcus, Bryce just called Amanda from a blocked number. Violated the restraining order again. Threatened to involve child services. He listened. No, I want him arrested. Tonight. He hung up, looked at Amanda. It's over, he said. Marcus is filing for an emergency hearing. Between the violations and the threats, Bryce will be lucky to avoid jail time. And if that's not enough? Amanda asked desperately. If he follows through? If CPS shows up? Dominic moved closer, cupped her face in his hands. Then we show them a stable home, a healthy baby, a mother who's doing everything right, and we have lawyers who will bury any claim Bryce tries to make. But your business, the things you're involved in, are completely separate from this apartment and this life, Dominic said firmly. There's nothing here that connects you or Lucia to anything questionable. I made sure of that. Amanda wanted to believe him, but fear had its claws in deep. That night she barely slept. Every sound made her jump. Every time Lucia whimpered, Amanda was up, checking her, making sure she was breathing. Dominic found her at 4 a.m., standing over the crib, tears streaming down her face. She's okay, he said gently. Now, Amanda whispered. But what about tomorrow? Next week? What if Bryce, He won't. Dominic guided her to the rocking chair, sat her down, knelt in front of her. Amanda, look at me. She met his eyes. I will not let him hurt you, Dominic said. Either of you. Whatever I have to do. Whoever I have to become. He will not win. What does that mean? Amanda asked. What are you planning? Dominic's expression was unreadable. It's better if you don't know. Dominic, trust me, he interrupted. Please, just trust me to handle this. Amanda looked at him, at the man who'd given her everything, who'd been there for every moment that mattered, who looked at Lucia like she was his own. Okay, she whispered. Dominic kissed her forehead. Get some sleep. I'll watch her. Amanda went back to bed, lay there staring at the ceiling, listening to Dominic's voice through the monitor as he talked to Lucia in soft Italian, singing something that sounded like a lullaby. She'd given him her trust. She just hoped it wouldn't destroy them both. Bam. The emergency hearing happened 4 days later. Amanda sat in the courtroom, Lucia in her arms, wrapped in a soft pink blanket. The baby slept through everything. The judge's entrance, Bryce's lawyer's arguments, Marcus's sharp rebuttals. The same judge from before looked even less impressed than last time. Mr. Calder, she said, voice like gravel. You've violated a restraining order 3 times. You've harassed Ms. Hale via phone. You've threatened to weaponize Child Protective Services to gain custody of a child you have no legal claim to. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Bryce stood. He looked terrible. Unshaven, suit wrinkled, eyes bloodshot. Your Honor, I'm the biological father. I have rights. You have no established paternity, the judge corrected. And even if you did, your behavior toward Ms. Hale has been reprehensible. She has a restraining order against you for good reason. She's living with a known criminal, Bryce said desperately. Dominic Vieri is... Mr. Vieri is not on trial here, the judge interrupted. You are, and I've heard enough. She looked at Marcus. Counselor, what are you asking for? Extension of the restraining order to 1 year, Marcus said. Prohibition on any contact, direct or indirect, with Ms. Hale or her child, and criminal charges for repeated violations. The judge nodded. Granted. Mr. Calder, you are hereby ordered to stay a minimum of 500 feet from Ms. Hale and her child at all times. Any violation will result in immediate arrest and prosecution. Do you understand? Bryce's face went white. Your Honor, do you understand? Yes, Bryce said through clenched teeth. Good. We're adjourned. Outside the courtroom, Amanda sagged against the wall. Lucia woke up, started to fuss. Amanda adjusted the blanket, rocked her gently. It's over, Marcus said. He can't come near you now. He'll find a way, Amanda said quietly. Marcus exchanged a look with Dominic. Not if he values his freedom. They left the courthouse in Dominic's SUV. Marco drove. Dominic sat in back with Amanda and Lucia, silent, jaw tight. What aren't you telling me? Amanda asked. Nothing. Dominic. He sighed, looked out the window. Bryce's debt. The people he owes. They've decided to collect. Amanda's stomach dropped. What does that mean? It means his attention is about to shift very far away from you, Dominic said carefully. You made that happen. I provided information to interested parties, Dominic said. What they chose to do with it is their business. Amanda stared at him. You sicked loan sharks on him. I made sure the people he'd been avoiding knew where to find him, Dominic corrected. The rest is consequence. That's... Amanda stopped. She didn't know what it was. Justice? Revenge? Protection? That's me keeping my promise, Dominic said quietly. He looked at Lucia, sleeping in her car seat. He threatened her. I don't take that lightly. The rest of the drive passed in silence. Itom. 2 weeks later, Amanda woke to Lucia's cries at 2 a.m. She stumbled to the nursery, lifted her daughter from the crib, changed her diaper, started to nurse her in the rocking chair. Dominic appeared in the doorway, half asleep, hair disheveled. Need anything? He asked. We're good. Amanda smiled tiredly. Go back to bed. Instead, Dominic sat on the floor beside the rocking chair, leaned his head against the armrest, closed his eyes. What are you doing? Amanda asked softly. Being here. You don't have to. I want to. Dominic opened his eyes, looked up at her. If that's okay. Amanda's throat tightened. Yeah, it's okay. They sat like that until Lucia finished nursing and fell back asleep. Dominic carried her to the crib, tucked her in with practiced ease. Then he took Amanda's hand and led her back to bed. They lay facing each other in the darkness. I've been thinking, Dominic said quietly. About what? About making this official. Amanda's breath caught. What? Dominic reached out, traced her cheekbone with his thumb. You, me, Lucia, this, whatever we are, making it real. Dominic, I know it's fast, he interrupted. I know we've never even... He stopped, started again. But I've spent every day of the last 3 months caring about you. And now there's Lucia, and I can't imagine a life where you're not both in it. Amanda's eyes stung. You barely know me. I know enough. Dominic's hand moved to cup her jaw. I know you're strong. I know you fight for what matters. I know you're an incredible mother, and I know that when I look at you, I see home. I'm a mess, Amanda whispered. I'm broke. I'm scared. You're mine, Dominic said. If you want to be. Amanda stared at him. At this impossible man who'd walked into her life and refused to leave, who'd given her safety and work and protection, who'd been there for her daughter's birth and every moment since. I don't know how to do this, she admitted. Neither do I, Dominic said. But I'm willing to figure it out, if you are. Amanda thought about Bryce, about the years she'd spent shrinking herself to fit his expectations, about the fear and control and slow erosion of everything she was. Dominic wasn't asking her to shrink. He was asking her to expand, to let herself be loved without conditions. Okay, she whispered. Yeah? Yeah. Dominic pulled her close, kissed her, soft, careful, like he was afraid she'd disappear. Amanda kissed him back, tasting salt from tears she hadn't realized she was crying. When they pulled apart, Dominic pressed his forehead to hers. I'm going to marry you, he said quietly. Soon, when you're ready. That's insane. Probably, he smiled. But I've never been good at doing things halfway. Amanda laughed, watery, overwhelmed. Clearly, they fell asleep tangled together, and for the first time in months, Amanda didn't wake up afraid. Sec. The next morning, she woke to an empty bed and voices in the living room. Male voices. Tense. Amanda pulled on a robe, checked on Lucia, still sleeping, and walked out. Dominic stood by the windows, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Italian. Marco was there, along with two other men Amanda didn't recognize. They all looked grim. Dominic saw her, ended his call. "What's going on?" Amanda asked. "Go back to the bedroom," Dominic said. Not a request. "Dominic." "Amanda, please." The fear in his voice stopped her. She'd never heard him scared before. "What happened?" Dominic exchanged a look with Marco. Then he crossed to her, took her hands. "Last night, someone tried to break into the building," he said carefully. "Security stopped them, but they were asking about you specifically." Amanda's blood went cold. "Bryce? We don't know yet." Dominic's grip tightened. "But until we do, I need you to stay inside. Don't go anywhere without Marco or me. Understand? You're scaring me." "Good," Dominic said bluntly. "You should be scared. Because whoever this was, they weren't amateur. They had building codes, security protocols. This wasn't some random stalker." "Then who?" Marco's phone rang. He answered, listened, his expression darkening. He looked at Dominic, said something in Italian that made Dominic's entire body go rigid. "What?" Amanda demanded. "What is it?" Dominic released her hands, paced to the window, stared out at the city. "There's a problem," he said, finally. "What kind of problem?" "The kind that comes from my world bleeding into yours." Dominic turned. His expression was locked down, professional, the version of himself that terrified her. "Someone from my organization found out about you, about Lucia, and they've decided you're a liability." Amanda's legs went weak. "What does that mean?" "It means," Dominic said carefully, "that there are people who think a man in my position shouldn't have attachments, especially not ones that can be used against him." "Used how?" "Leverage, blackmail, threats." Dominic's jaw clenched. Or worse. The room tilted. Amanda grabbed the back of the couch for support. "You're saying someone wants to hurt us," she said. "Because of you." "Yes." "Someone from your organization, the one you run." "Yes." Amanda looked at him, at the man she'd started to trust, started to love. "You brought this to my door." "I know. You put Lucia at risk." "I know." Dominic's voice cracked. "And I will spend the rest of my life making sure she stays safe. But right now, I need you to trust me." "Trust you?" Amanda's voice rose. "You just told me your people want to kill us." "Not my people," Dominic said sharply. "One person, Antonio Rossi. He's been questioning my leadership, trying to push me out, and he sees you as the perfect pressure point." "So what happens now?" Amanda asked. Her voice sounded distant, detached. "Now I deal with him," Dominic said. "Permanently." "By killing him?" Dominic didn't answer. He didn't need to. Amanda looked toward the nursery, at the room where her daughter slept, oblivious to the nightmare unfolding around her. "I need to leave," she said quietly. "What?" "I need to take Lucia and go somewhere safe. Away from you, away from all of this." "Amanda, no." She stepped back when he reached for her. "You said attachments make you vulnerable. Fine. Then we're not attached. We're gone." "Running won't protect you," Dominic said desperately. "Antonio knows who you are, where you came from. He'll find you." "Then what am I supposed to do?" Amanda's voice broke. "Stay here and wait for someone to what? Break in? Take her? Use her to control you?" "You're supposed to let me handle this," Dominic said. "You're supposed to trust that I can keep you safe." "How?" Amanda demanded. "How can you possibly—" Lucia's cry pierced through the apartment. Amanda turned, moved toward the nursery. Marco stepped into her path. "Miss Hale," he said quietly. "Let me check first." "She's crying." "I know." Marco's expression was apologetic, but firm. 30 seconds. He disappeared into the nursery. Amanda heard drawers opening, the closet, the window locks being checked. Marco reappeared. "Clear." Amanda pushed past him, lifted Lucia from the crib. The baby's face was red from crying, her tiny fists clenched. Amanda held her close, breathing in her scent, trying to calm her racing heart. Dominic appeared in the doorway. Amanda, get out! Please. Get out! Amanda's voice cracked. Lucia wailed louder. I can't think with you here. I can't. Okay. Dominic held up his hands. Okay. I'll give you space. But I'm not leaving this apartment, and neither are you. Not until I know you're safe. He left. Closed the door behind him. Amanda sank into the rocking chair, Lucia screaming in her arms, and let herself fall apart. She'd been so stupid, so desperately, pathetically stupid. She'd let herself believe in safety, in protection, in the fantasy that Dominic's power could shield her from consequences. But power didn't protect. It painted targets. And now her daughter, her tiny, innocent daughter, was caught in the crossfire of a world Amanda never should have entered. Shamag. The rest of the day passed in tense silence. Amanda stayed in the nursery with Lucia. Dominic stayed in the living room with his men. She heard them talking in low voices, heard phones ringing, heard Dominic's voice, sharp, commanding, making decisions she didn't want to know about. At 6 p.m., Marco brought her food. She ate mechanically, tasting nothing. At 8, Dominic knocked softly. Can I come in? No. Amanda, I said no. Silence. Then footsteps retreating. Amanda nursed Lucia, changed her, put her down for the night, stared at the monitor showing her daughter's chest rising and falling. Around midnight, exhaustion won. Amanda lay down on the daybed in the nursery, closed her eyes. She woke to glass shattering. Amanda bolted upright, heart hammering. Lucia screamed. Shouting came from the living room, male voices, violent, overlapping. Amanda grabbed Lucia from the crib, ran to the door, locked it, pressed her back against it, baby clutched to her chest. More shouting, a gunshot. Amanda's knees gave out. She slid down the door, cradling Lucia's head, trying to muffle her cries. Another gunshot, closer. The door handle rattled. Amanda! Dominic's voice, rough, desperate. Open the door! How do I know it's really you? Because I'm bleeding all over your fucking hallway, Dominic said. Open the door, now! Amanda scrambled up, unlocked it. Dominic stumbled in, blood soaking his left shoulder. Marco was behind him, gun drawn, scanning the hallway. What happened? Amanda gasped. Antonio sent men, Dominic said. He was pale, breathing hard. They're dead, but there might be more. Oh my God. Pack a bag, Dominic interrupted. Essentials only, we're leaving. Now. Where? Somewhere safe. Dominic gripped her shoulders with his good hand. Amanda, I need you to trust me. One more time. Please. Amanda looked at his face, at the blood, at the fear barely concealed behind his control. She looked at Lucia, still screaming. She thought about Bryce, about running from one nightmare into another. And she made a choice. Okay, she whispered. Dominic's expression shifted. Relief, gratitude, something deeper. Marco, he said, get them to the car. I'll cover. You're bleeding. I'll live. Go. Marco took Lucia from Amanda's arms. Diaper bag? There, Amanda pointed. Marco grabbed it, guided Amanda toward the door. She looked back. Dominic stood in the nursery, gun in his hand, staring at the room like he was memorizing it. Dominic, I'll be right behind you, he said. I promise. Marco pulled her into the hallway, past the shattered living room window, past bodies on the floor that Amanda refused to look at, into the elevator. They descended in silence. Lucia's cries echoed in the small space. The garage was chaos, men with guns, engines running. Marco shoved Amanda into an SUV, climbed in beside her, handed Lucia back. Where's Dominic? Amanda demanded. Coming. They waited. 30 seconds, a minute. The elevator doors opened. Dominic stepped out, jacket draped over his wounded shoulder. He moved like every step hurt. He climbed into the passenger seat. Drive. Marco hit the gas. They peeled out of the garage into the Miami night, leaving everything behind. Amanda held Lucia close, staring out the window at the city lights blurring past, and realized the truth. She wasn't running from danger anymore. She was running with it. And the most terrifying part? She'd chosen this. Chosen him. Chosen to trust a man whose world was built on violence and control. Because somewhere in the chaos, Dominic Vieri had become the only person she believed could keep them alive, even if that belief might destroy them all. The safe house was 40 minutes outside the city, buried in the Everglades where civilization thinned into swamp and silence. Marco killed the headlights half a mile from the turnoff, navigating by moonlight down a dirt road that didn't exist on any map. Amanda clutched Lucia against her chest, the baby finally quiet, exhausted from screaming. Every bump in the road made Dominic hiss through his teeth, his hand pressed against the blood-soaked jacket covering his shoulder. The house materialized from the darkness, single story, concrete block construction, windows covered with steel shutters, functional, defensible. Nothing like the polished luxury Amanda had gotten used to. Marco parked behind the structure, out of sight from the road. "Clear," he said after scanning the perimeter with night vision goggles. Dominic climbed out first, moving stiffly. Amanda followed, Lucia stirring against her shoulder. The air smelled like wet earth and rotting vegetation. Mosquitoes swarmed immediately. Inside, the house was sparse. Concrete floors, metal furniture bolted down, a kitchenette with supplies stocked military style, 2 bedrooms with reinforced doors, no decorations, no softness. "Bathroom's there," Marco said, pointing. "First aid kit's under the sink. I'll do a perimeter check." He left. The door locked behind him with a heavy click. Amanda stood in the middle of the living room, holding Lucia, staring at nothing. Dominic leaned against the wall, face gray with pain. "Let me see," Amanda said quietly. "I'm fine." "You're bleeding through your jacket. Let me see." Dominic pushed off the wall, grimacing, shrugged out of the jacket. His shirt underneath was dark with blood. Amanda set Lucia carefully in a pack-and-play that had been set up in the corner. Someone had prepared this place knowing a baby might be here, and guided Dominic to a chair. She cut away his shirt with scissors from the first aid kit. The wound was a through and through, high on his shoulder. Still bleeding, but not gushing. "You need a hospital," Amanda said. "Can't risk it." Dominic's jaw was tight. "Antonio will have people watching emergency rooms." "So you're just going to bleed? You're going to stitch me up?" Amanda stared at him. "I don't know how to—" "There's instructions in the kit." Dominic met her eyes. "And I've talked you through worse things than this." Amanda's hands shook as she opened the medical supplies. Antiseptic, surgical thread, needles, a bottle of pills labeled in Italian. "Those," Dominic said, nodding at the pills. "2 now. Antibiotic." Amanda gave him the pills, watched him swallow them dry. Then she cleaned the wound, her stomach churning as blood welled up. Dominic didn't make a sound, but his knuckles went white, gripping the chair arms. Threading the needle took 3 tries. Amanda's fingers wouldn't cooperate. "You can do this," Dominic said quietly. "I don't want to hurt you." "You won't." He reached up with his good hand, squeezed her wrist. "I trust you." Amanda took a breath, pressed the needle against his skin. Pushed through. Dominic's entire body went rigid, but he stayed silent. She worked slowly, carefully, trying to remember the videos she'd watched online once about basic suturing. Small stitches. Keep them even. Don't pull too tight. Her vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. By the time she finished, Dominic's forehead was sheened with sweat, and Amanda's hands were covered in his blood. She bandaged the wound, taped it secure, stepped back. "Done," she whispered. Dominic looked down at her work. "Not bad for your first time." "Don't," Amanda's voice cracked. "Don't make jokes right now." "Amanda, someone just tried to kill us." The words burst out, ragged and desperate. "There are dead men in my apartment. You've been shot. We're hiding in a swamp. And you're making jokes?" Dominic stood, swaying slightly. "What do you want me to say?" "I want you to tell me this is going to be okay." Amanda's voice rose. Lucia, startled awake, began to cry. "I want you to promise me she's going to be safe, that this nightmare is going to end, that I didn't make the biggest mistake of my life trusting you." Dominic flinched like she'd hit him. Amanda picked up Lucia, rocking her automatically. The baby's cries filled the small house. "I can't promise you that," Dominic said finally. "I can't promise any of it." Then what can you promise? That I will fight for you. Dominic's voice was raw. That I will use everything I have, everything I am, to keep you both alive. That I won't stop until Antonio is dead and this threat is eliminated. He paused. But I can't promise it won't get worse before it gets better. Amanda looked at him. At this man who'd given her safety and then torn it away by dragging her into his world. Who'd stitched himself into her life until she couldn't imagine it without him. Who stood bleeding in a concrete bunker promising violence as protection. I should have left when I had the chance, she whispered. You didn't have a chance, Dominic said bluntly. The moment I stepped between you and Bryce, you were marked. Antonio would have found out about you eventually. The only difference is whether you face it alone or with me. So this is my fault for being in that cafe? This is Antonio's fault for being ambitious and stupid. Dominic moved closer. And it's my fault for not eliminating him 6 months ago when he first challenged me. Eliminating, Amanda repeated. You mean killing? Yes. Lucia's cries softened to hiccups. Amanda bounced her gently, staring at Dominic. Is that what you're going to do now? Kill him? Yes. And then what? Someone else challenges you? We run again? Live like this forever? No. Dominic's expression hardened. After Antonio, I send a message. Make it clear what happens to anyone who threatens what's mine. There won't be challenges after that. Because they'll be too afraid? Because they'll be smart. Dominic sat down heavily, his shoulder clearly hurting. This world I'm in, it runs on respect and fear. Antonio forgot that. I'm going to remind everyone. Amanda sank onto the couch, Lucia settling against her chest. I don't know if I can live like this. You won't have to, Dominic said. After this is over, I'm stepping back, restructuring, putting distance between my business and my personal life. You can just do that? I can do whatever I want, Dominic said. I built this organization. I can reshape it. Why didn't you do that before? Because I didn't have a reason to. Dominic looked at her, at Lucia. Now I do. The weight of that settled between them. Marco knocked once, opened the door. Perimeter secure. No movement on the access road. He looked at Dominic's bandaged shoulder. You good? I'll live. Marco nodded. I'm taking first watch. You should rest. After he left, Amanda carried Lucia to one of the bedrooms. Someone had set up a proper crib, stocked it with blankets. She laid the baby down, watched her eyes flutter closed. When she turned, Dominic stood in the doorway. You should sleep, he said. So should you. Can't. Shoulder hurts too much. Amanda crossed to him, studied his face in the dim light. What happens tomorrow? Tomorrow I make calls, Dominic said. Mobilize my people, find out where Antonio's hiding. And then? And then I end this. Amanda reached up, touched his face. He leaned into her palm. Don't die, she whispered. Not planning on it. Promise me. Dominic covered her hand with his. I promise I'll do everything I can to come back to you. It wasn't the promise she wanted, but it was the only one he could give. She kissed him, hard, desperate, tasting fear and something deeper. Dominic kissed her back, his good arm pulling her close, careful not to crush Lucia sleeping between them. When they pulled apart, Amanda pressed her forehead to his chest. I need you, she whispered. I know. Dominic's voice was rough. I need you too. They stood like that until Lucia whimpered. Then Amanda pulled away, went to comfort her daughter, and Dominic disappeared into the night to plan his war. Morning came gray and humid. Amanda woke to Lucia's hungry cries and the sound of male voices in the living room. She fed the baby, changed her, emerged to find Dominic at the kitchen table surrounded by papers and phones. Marco was there, along with 3 other men Amanda had never seen. They all stopped talking when she appeared. Give us a minute, Dominic said. The men filed out. Marco last, closing the door behind him. What's happening? Amanda asked. I've located Antonio. Dominic's voice was flat, professional. He's holed up in a warehouse in Hialeah. 8 men with him, maybe more. Amanda's stomach dropped. When are you going? Tonight. That's not enough time to plan. It's all the time we have, Dominic interrupted. Every hour we wait, he gets stronger, calls in more men, fortifies his position. He stood cross to her. This ends tonight, Amanda, one way or another. What if something goes wrong? Then Marco gets you out. There's a boat dock 2 miles from here. He'll take you to the Bahamas. New identities waiting, money in offshore accounts. Dominic pulled an envelope from his pocket. Everything you need is in here. Amanda stared at the envelope. You planned for this. I planned for everything. Except staying alive? I'm planning on that too, Dominic said, but I'm also practical. Amanda set Lucia in the pack and play, turned back to Dominic. I don't want your escape plan. I want you to not die. That's the goal. Dominic, he cupped her face in his hands. Listen to me. If something happens, if I don't come back, you take Lucia and you run. You don't wait. You don't look back. You protect her. Understand? Tears burned Amanda's eyes. I can't do this without you. Yes, you can. Dominic's thumbs brushed her cheekbones. You're stronger than you think. You've survived Bryce, survived being broke and alone and pregnant. You'll survive this too. I don't want to survive, Amanda choked out. I want us to be a family, like you said, like we were supposed to be. Dominic's expression cracked. We will be, after tonight. Promise me. Amanda, promise me you'll come back. Dominic pulled her close, pressed his lips to her forehead. I promise I'll fight like hell to get back to you. It still wasn't the promise she needed, but it was all he had to give. The day passed in agonizing slowness. Dominic and his men planned, argued, reviewed blueprints of the warehouse. Amanda tried to distract herself with Lucia, playing, feeding, changing endless diapers. But her mind kept circling back to tonight, to Dominic walking into a building full of armed men, to the very real possibility that he wouldn't walk out. At 5 p.m., Dominic came to find her. He'd showered, changed into dark clothes. The bandage on his shoulder was fresh. We're leaving in an hour, he said. Amanda nodded, couldn't speak. Dominic sat beside her on the couch. Lucia crawled between them, babbling nonsense. He picked her up, held her carefully, studying her face like he was memorizing it. She's got your eyes, he said quietly. She's got her own eyes, Amanda corrected. She's not me. Not you, just herself. She's perfect. Dominic kissed Lucia's forehead, handed her back to Amanda. Whatever happens tonight, know that these last few months, meeting you, being part of her life, it's been the best thing I've ever done. Amanda's vision blurred. Don't talk like that. I need you to hear it. Dominic took her hand. In case I don't get another chance. You'll get another chance, Amanda said fiercely. You'll come back and you'll hold her and teach her Italian and watch her grow up. You don't get to say goodbye, not yet. Dominic smiled, sad, small. Okay, no goodbyes. Just see you later. See you later, Dominic echoed. He stood, walked to the door, paused with his hand on the knob. Amanda? Yeah? I love you. The words came out rough, unpracticed. I should have said it before, but I love you. Amanda's breath caught. Dominic? You don't have to say it back. He looked at her. I just needed you to know. He left before she could respond. Amanda sat frozen, Lucia in her arms, those 3 words echoing in her head. I love you. She'd known. Of course she'd known. Had felt it in every gesture, every protective instinct, every time he looked at her like she was the center of his world. But hearing it out loud made it real, made it terrifying. Because now she had something to lose that was bigger than safety or stability. She had love. And tonight, it might be ripped away. Okay. Marco stayed behind with 2 men. Amanda paced the safe house, Lucia fussy and feeding off her mother's anxiety. The sun set. Darkness fell. 7 p.m. became 8. 8 became 9. No word. At 9:30, Amanda's phone rang. Unknown number. Her heart stopped. Hello? Amanda Hale? A woman's voice, professional, cold. Yes? This is Detective Sarah Chen, Miami-Dade Police. I need to ask you some questions about Dominic Vieri. Amanda's legs gave out. She sat down hard. What about him? When did you last see Mr. Vieri? Why? What happened? Please answer the question, Ms. Hale. This afternoon, he left around 6. Why? Is he okay? Silence. Then, there was an incident at a warehouse in Hialeah tonight. Multiple casualties. Mr. Vieri was present at the scene. The room spun. Is he alive? We're still sorting through. Is he alive? Ms. Hale, I need you to come to the station to answer some. Amanda hung up, stared at the phone in her shaking hands. Marco appeared in the doorway. What was that? The police. They said there was an incident. Multiple casualties. Dominic was there. Amanda looked up at him. They wouldn't tell me if he's alive. Marco's expression didn't change. He pulled out his phone, dialed, spoke in rapid Italian, listened. His jaw tightened. What? Amanda demanded. What did they say? Marco lowered the phone. There was a firefight. Antonio's men ambushed Dominic's team before they got inside. Heavy casualties on both sides. Where's Dominic? Unknown. Marco's voice was carefully neutral. He's not among the bodies they've identified so far, but the scene is still being processed. So he could be hurt somewhere, or he could have gotten out, Marco said firmly. Dominic's smart, resourceful. If anyone could survive an ambush, it's him. Amanda started pacing. We have to go there. We can't. Marco stepped into her path. Police are swarming the area. If you show up, they'll arrest you for questioning. And if Antonio's still alive, he'll know exactly where to find you. I don't care. You have to care. Marco pointed at Lucia, sleeping in the pack and play. She needs you thinking clearly. Amanda looked at her daughter, at the tiny human who'd done nothing to deserve being born into this nightmare. What do I do? She whispered. We wait, Marco said. Give Dominic time to make contact. And if he doesn't? Marco's expression hardened. Then we follow the plan. Get you out of the country. Keep you safe. I'm not leaving without knowing. Amanda's phone buzzed. Text from unknown number. Warehouse. Now. Come alone. D. Amanda showed it to Marco. His eyes narrowed. Could be a trap. Or it could be Dominic. If it's Antonio using Dominic's phone, then I walk into a trap, Amanda finished. But if it's really him and I don't go. She couldn't finish that sentence. Marco studied her. If I let you do this, I'm probably signing your death warrant. If you don't let me do this, I'll go anyway. Marco sighed, pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke in Italian, hung up. One of my guys is near the warehouse. He'll do recon, make sure it's safe before you go in. Marco, that's the deal, Marco said firmly. You don't go anywhere until I know what you're walking into. Amanda nodded, picked up Lucia, held her close. 20 minutes later, Marco's phone rang. He answered, listened, his expression darkening. What? Amanda asked. Marco lowered the phone. My guy spotted Dominic. He's alive. In the warehouse. Alone. Relief crashed through Amanda so hard she almost collapsed. Then let's go. There's a problem. Marco's voice was tight. He's hurt, bad. My guy says he's not sure Dominic can make it out on his own. Then we go get him. It's not that simple. Police have the area cordoned off. We'd have to go through back channels, avoid detection. I don't care what we have to do, Amanda interrupted. He came back for me. I'm not leaving him to die in some warehouse. Marco studied her, then nodded. Okay, but Lucia stays here, with my men. Amanda's arms tightened around her daughter. No. Amanda. Marco's voice was gentle. Where we're going is dangerous. You can't bring a baby into that. I can't leave her as... You can, and you will, because keeping her safe is more important than keeping her close. Marco paused. Dominic would say the same thing. Amanda looked down at Lucia, at her perfect, innocent face. Marco was right. She knew he was right. Okay, she whispered. She kissed Lucia's forehead, handed her to one of Marco's men. Keep her safe. With my life, the man promised. Marco grabbed weapons from a locked cabinet, handed Amanda a gun. I don't know how to use this, she said. Point and shoot. Marco checked his own weapon. Safety's here. Try not to shoot me. They left through the back door, into the swamp darkness. Marco's truck was hidden a quarter-mile away. They drove without headlights, using night vision and GPS to navigate back toward the city. The warehouse district was exactly what Amanda expected. Abandoned buildings, broken streetlights, the smell of chemicals and decay. Marco parked 3 blocks away. "We go on foot from here," he said. "Stay behind me. Step where I step. Don't make noise." They moved through shadows, avoiding the main streets where police lights still flashed. Marco led her through a cut in a fence, across a debris-strewn lot, to the back of a massive concrete structure. The warehouse. Bodies lay scattered in front. Amanda forced herself not to look at their faces. Marco checked his phone, gestured to a side entrance. "This way." Inside, the warehouse was cavernous, empty. Moonlight filtered through broken skylights. Amanda's footsteps echoed despite her attempts at silence. "Dominic?" she called softly. No answer. Marco raised his weapon, scanning the darkness. "Something's wrong." "What do you mean?" "It's too quiet." Marco's voice was tight. "Stay close." They moved deeper into the building, past shipping containers, past machinery rusted into stillness. Then Amanda saw him. Dominic sat slumped against a support pillar, blood pooling beneath him. His eyes were closed. His skin was gray. "Dominic!" Amanda ran to him, dropped to her knees. "Oh, God!" His eyes opened, focused on her face. "Amanda," he rasped, "you shouldn't be here." "Shut up!" Amanda pressed her hands against the wound in his side. Fresh blood, different from the shoulder injury. "Marco, help me." "It's a trap," Dominic said. His hand closed around her wrist. Weak. "Get out, now." "I'm not leaving you." Footsteps echoed from the darkness above. Slow, deliberate. Marco spun, weapon raised. A man stepped into the light. 50s, silver hair, expensive suit, somehow pristine despite the carnage outside. He smiled. "Ms. Hale," he said. His accent was Italian, cultured. "So nice of you to join us." "Antonio." "Let them go," Dominic said. Blood bubbled at the corner of his mouth. "This is between you and me." "No, my friend." Antonio moved closer, hands in his pockets. Casual. "This stopped being between us when you chose her over the family, when you put personal attachments above organizational loyalty." "The organization is mine," Dominic said. "I built it, and I'm taking it," Antonio gestured. More men emerged from the shadows, 6, 8, all armed. "You're too weak now, Dominic, too distracted, too human." His gaze slid to Amanda. "She made you vulnerable." "She made me stronger," Dominic corrected. Antonio laughed. "Look at you, bleeding out in a warehouse. That's not strength, that's pathetic." Marco's finger tightened on his trigger. Antonio's men raised their weapons in response. "Don't," Dominic said to Marco. "You can't win this fight." "So what?" Marco's voice was steady. "I die protecting you. That's the job." "The job is keeping them alive," Dominic said. He looked at Amanda. "I'm sorry. I tried." "No." Amanda's hands pressed harder against his wound. Blood leaked between her fingers. "No, you're not giving up. We're getting out of here." "Amanda, we're getting married, remember?" Her voice broke. "You're supposed to teach Lucia Italian. You're supposed to be there. You promised." "I promised to fight," Dominic said. "I didn't promise to win." "Then keep fighting." Amanda's vision blurred with tears. "Don't you dare quit now, not when we're so close to everything." Dominic's hand came up, touched her face. His fingers left blood on her cheek. "I love you," he said again. "Tell Lucia. Tell her I would have been there if I could." "You can tell her yourself," Amanda said desperately. "You're going to be fine. We're going to get you out and—" "Enough." Antonio's voice cut through. "This is touching, really, but we have business to conclude." He pulled a gun from inside his jacket, aimed it at Dominic's head. Amanda threw herself across Dominic's body. "Move," Antonio said. "No." "Ms. Hale, you seem like a reasonable woman. This doesn't have to involve you." "Everything about this involves me," Amanda said. Her voice was steady, clear. "You want to kill him? You go through me first." Antonio's expression flickered. Annoyance, then respect. Admirable. Stupid, but admirable. He shifted his aim. Have it your way. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space, but it didn't come from Antonio's gun. It came from behind him. Antonio jerked forward, surprise registering on his face before he collapsed. Behind him, a figure stepped out of the shadows. Bryce. He held a smoking gun, his expression wild, manic. "Nobody kills her but me," he said. The warehouse exploded into chaos. Antonio's men opened fire. Marco returned shots, pulling Amanda down behind the support pillar. Bullets ricocheted off concrete. Someone screamed. Bryce ran toward them, firing wildly. "Amanda, come on!" "What are you doing here?" Amanda shouted over the gunfire. "Saving you!" Bryce grabbed her arm. "We have to go, now!" "I'm not leaving him. He's dead!" Bryce yanked her harder. "Look at him! He's already gone!" Amanda looked at Dominic. His eyes had closed again. His breathing was shallow, barely there. "No," she whispered. "Amanda!" Bryce's voice turned desperate. "I tracked you here. I've been following you for weeks, and I'm getting you out. You and my daughter." "She's not your daughter," Amanda said. Her hands were still pressed against Dominic's wound, still trying to stop blood that wouldn't stop. "DNA says otherwise." Bryce pulled harder. "I had it tested. That baby is mine, and I'm not letting some mobster's vendetta kill you before I get what's mine." Something inside Amanda snapped. She spun, drove her elbow into Bryce's throat. He staggered back, gasping. She grabbed the gun Marco had given her. "She is not yours," Amanda said. "I am not yours, and I am done with you deciding what happens to me." She shot him. The bullet caught him in the shoulder, same place Dominic had been hit. Bryce went down screaming. Amanda turned back to Dominic. His eyes were open, watching her. "Good shot," he rasped. "Don't talk." Amanda looked at Marco. "We need to get him to a hospital." "Can't." Marco was reloading. "Antonio's men are dead," a new voice said. Police swarmed in, weapons raised, shouting commands. Amanda raised her hands, gun falling from her grip. An older detective approached. Badge visible. Gun aimed at the ground. "Ms. Hale," he said. "Detective Morrison, we've been tracking Antonio Rossi for 6 months. You just helped us close our case." "I don't care about your case," Amanda said. "He needs an ambulance." "Already called." Morrison gestured. Paramedics rushed in, moving to Dominic. "You did good tonight, ma'am." "I shot someone," Amanda said numbly. "In self-defense." Morrison looked at Bryce, who was being cuffed and treated simultaneously. "And that particular someone has several outstanding warrants. You probably saved lives." Amanda watched them load Dominic onto a stretcher. His eyes found hers. "Lucia," he said. "Is safe," Amanda promised. "I'll bring her to you." "Love you," Dominic mouthed. "I love you too," Amanda said, finally saying it out loud. "Don't you dare die before I get to say it again." They wheeled him away. Amanda stood in the blood-soaked warehouse, surrounded by bodies and police, in the wreckage of the life she'd stumbled into, and felt something shift inside her. She wasn't the woman who'd sat alone in that cafe 6 months ago. That woman had been broken, afraid, trying to survive. This woman, the one standing here with blood on her hands and fire in her chest, she was something else entirely. She was a mother who'd protect her child against anyone, a partner who'd fight for the man she loved, a survivor who'd choose violence over submission. And as the police led her out into the Miami night, Amanda made a decision. Whatever came next, trials, testimony, the fallout from tonight, she would face it. Not as a victim, as someone who'd finally learned to fight back. And won. The hospital waiting room smelled like disinfectant and bad coffee. Amanda sat in a plastic chair with Lucia sleeping against her chest, watching the clock on the wall tick past midnight. Marco stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in low Italian. Blood still stained Amanda's jeans. Dominic's blood, dried now into something darker than red. A doctor emerged through the double doors, young, exhausted, surgical mask hanging around her neck. "Family of Dominic Vieri?" Amanda stood. "How is he?" The doctor gestured to a quieter corner. "He's stable. We removed the bullet from his abdomen, repaired the damage. He lost a lot of blood, but the transfusions are holding. Barring infection, he should recover fully. Amanda's knees went weak. Marco's hand steadied her elbow. Can I see him? She asked. He's in recovery, not conscious yet, but I can take you to him, Mem. The ICU was all beeping monitors and hushed footsteps. The doctor led Amanda to a room at the end of the hall. Dominic lay motionless in the bed, tubes and wires connecting him to machines. His face was pale, hollowed out by blood loss and pain, but his chest rose and fell steadily. Alive. Amanda sank into the chair beside the bed, shifted Lucia in her arms. The baby stirred, made a small sound, settled back to sleep. He saved my life, Amanda said quietly. Multiple times. From what I understand, the doctor said, you returned the favor. She paused at the door. Police want to talk to you. Detective Morrison is waiting outside. I told him you need time, but he's persistent. It's okay, Amanda said. I'll talk to him. The doctor left. Amanda sat in the silence, watching Dominic breathe. 10 minutes later, Detective Morrison appeared in the doorway. He looked like he'd been awake for 3 days straight. Ms. Hale, he said. Mind if I ask you some questions? Is this an interrogation? Call it a conversation. Morrison pulled up a second chair, sat. You shot Bryce Calder tonight. He attacked me, grabbed me. I defended myself. That's what the witnesses say. Morrison pulled out a notebook. Bryce claims you're part of Vieri's organization, says you've been involved in criminal activity for months. Amanda looked at him steadily. Bryce is my abusive ex-husband who's been violating restraining orders, threatening me, and trying to weaponize the legal system to take my daughter. He's not a credible source. That's also what the witnesses say. Morrison made a note. What about Antonio Rossi? You know him? I know he tried to have me killed tonight. Why? Because I'm involved with Dominic Vieri. Amanda kept her voice neutral. Antonio saw me as leverage, a weakness he could exploit. And Vieri? Morrison's eyes were sharp. What's your relationship with him? Amanda looked down at Lucia, then at Dominic's unconscious form. He's the father of my child, she said quietly, in every way that matters. Morrison studied her. We've been investigating Antonio Rossi for 6 months. Racketeering, money laundering, attempted murder. Tonight, you helped us close that investigation, but Vieri, he's still a person of interest. In what? In a lot of things. Morrison leaned forward. But here's the thing, Ms. Hale. You're a civilian, a translator, a mother. You didn't ask to be dragged into organized crime. From where I'm sitting, you're a victim of circumstance. Where are you going with this? I'm saying, Wishes, Morrison said carefully, that if you cooperate with our investigation into Vieri's business practices, we can make sure you don't face any charges related to tonight. Clean slate, fresh start. Amanda's grip tightened on Lucia. You want me to testify against him? I want you to tell the truth about what you've witnessed. And if I don't? Morrison shrugged. Then we investigate you too. Financial records, work contracts, your sudden move into a luxury apartment owned by a known criminal figure. Could get complicated. Amanda looked at Dominic, at the man who'd protected her, fought for her, nearly died for her, who'd given her safety when she had nothing, who loved her daughter like she was his own. No, she said. Morrison's eyebrows rose. No, I'm not testifying against him. Amanda met the detective's eyes. Dominic Vieri gave me work when I was desperate. He protected me from my abusive ex-husband when the legal system couldn't. He's never asked me to do anything illegal. Whatever business he runs, I'm not part of it. I'm someone he cares about. That's all. Ms. Hale, if you want to investigate him, do it without me, Amanda said firmly. But I'm not helping you destroy the man who saved my life. Morrison studied her for a long moment. Then he stood, pocketed his notebook. Okay, he said. I respect that. Probably makes you a terrible witness anyway, too emotionally compromised. He paused at the door. For what it's worth, I hope he pulls through. Guy like that, willing to take on Antonio Rossi to protect someone? That's rare. After he left, Amanda sat alone with the only 2 people in the world who mattered, and waited for Dominic to wake up. He opened his eyes 48 hours later. Amanda had just finished feeding Lucia when she noticed the change in his breathing. His eyelids fluttered, focused, found her face. "Hey," she said softly. "Hey." His voice was raspy, dry. "How long?" "2 days." Amanda set Lucia in the bassinet the nurses had brought, moved to his bedside. "You scared me." "Sorry." Dominic tried to smile, winced. "Antonio?" "Dead. Bryce shot him." Dominic's eyes widened. "Bryce was there?" "Tracked me to the warehouse, shot Antonio, then tried to drag me away." "I shot him." "You shot him?" "In the shoulder." Amanda's mouth twitched. Seemed appropriate. Dominic's hand reached for hers. His fingers were cold, weak. "You okay?" "I'm fine. Lucia's fine. You're alive. That's all that matters." "The police?" "Questioned me. Wanted me to testify against you. I refused." Something shifted in Dominic's expression. "Amanda!" "I'm not doing it," she said firmly. "Whatever they think they know about you, they can prove it without me." "You could have walked away," Dominic said quietly. "Cut ties. Started clean." "I don't want clean." Amanda laced her fingers through his. "I want this. You. Us. Whatever messy, complicated thing we are." Dominic's eyes glistened. "I love you." "I know." Amanda leaned down, kissed him gently. "I love you too." Lucia chose that moment to wake up, crying loudly. Amanda picked her up, brought her close. Dominic's good hand reached out, touched the baby's tiny fingers. "Hey, Piccola," he murmured. "I'm still here." Lucia's hand closed around his finger, held tight. And in that hospital room, surrounded by machines and monitors and the lingering scent of antiseptic, they became what they'd been fighting toward all along. A family. Boy, Dominic was released from the hospital a week later. The bullet wounds were healing well. Physical therapy would be required. Pain management. But he'd live. Marco drove them back to the safe house. The apartment in Coral Gables was a crime scene, still under investigation. They'd been cleared to return eventually, but for now, the swamp house was home. The first night back, Amanda made dinner while Dominic sat at the kitchen table, Lucia in his lap. He was teaching her Italian words she was too young to understand, his voice soft and patient. "Familia," he said. "Family." Lucia babbled in response. "Close enough," Dominic said, smiling. Amanda watched them from the stove, something warm and solid settling in her chest. This wasn't the life she'd imagined 6 months ago. Wasn't the safe, predictable future she'd thought she wanted. It was better, messier, more dangerous, but real in a way nothing else had ever been. After dinner, after Lucia was asleep in her crib, Amanda and Dominic sat on the back porch. The swamp stretched out before them, alive with sounds, frogs, insects, things moving through darkness. "I need to tell you something," Dominic said. Amanda's stomach tightened. "What?" "I'm stepping back from the organization," he said. "Not completely. I can't just disappear. That's not how this works. But I'm restructuring, putting people I trust in positions of power, creating distance between the business and my personal life." "Can you do that?" "I can do whatever I want," Dominic said. "I built this empire. I can reshape it." He turned to face her. "But it means changes. Less money coming in, at least initially. More time spent managing the transition. It won't be easy." "I don't care about easy," Amanda said. "I care about safe. I'm about building a life where Lucia doesn't grow up surrounded by violence." "That's the goal." Dominic took her hand. "It'll take time. A year, maybe more. But I'm committed to it. To you. To her." Amanda studied his face in the moonlight. "What about your people? Won't they see it as weakness?" "Let them." Dominic's voice was steel. "Antonio tried to use you against me, and look where it got him. Anyone else who wants to test me will learn the same lesson. By dying. By understanding that some things are more important than power." Dominic pulled her closer. "You taught me that." Amanda leaned against his shoulder, careful of his healing wounds. "I didn't teach you anything. You taught me what it feels like to have something worth protecting," Dominic corrected. "Worth changing for. That's everything." They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the swamp breathe. I want to get married, Amanda said suddenly. Dominic went still. What? You said you were going to marry me when I was ready. Amanda looked up at him. I'm ready. Amanda, I know it's fast. I know we've barely had time to figure out what we are, but I don't care. Amanda's voice was steady. You've been more of a partner to me in 6 months than Bryce was in 5 years. You've loved my daughter like she's yours. You nearly died protecting us. I don't need more time to know you're it for me. Dominic cupped her face in his hands. You're sure? Completely. It won't be a normal marriage, Dominic warned. There will be security, precautions, times when I can't tell you everything about what I'm doing. I know. And people will judge you, call you a criminal's wife, question your choices. Let them. Amanda's voice was fierce. I don't care what anyone thinks. I only care about us. Dominic kissed her, deep, desperate, full of everything he couldn't put into words. When they pulled apart, his eyes were wet. Okay, he said. Let's get married. Yeah? Yeah. Dominic smiled. Soon, before you change your mind. I won't change my mind. Good. He pulled her onto his lap, careful of his injuries. Because I'm not letting you go. Ever. Amanda kissed him again, tasting salt and promise and the beginning of something that felt like forever. Bas. They married 3 weeks later in a small courthouse ceremony. Marco was the witness. Lucia wore a white dress Amanda had found at a consignment shop. Dominic wore a dark suit despite his shoulders still healing. The judge was efficient, professional, clearly used to couples who wanted legal recognition without the spectacle. Do you, Dominic Vieri, take Amanda Hale to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do. And do you, Amanda Hale, take Dominic Vieri to be your lawfully wedded husband? Amanda looked at Dominic, at the man who'd walked into her life when she was at her lowest, who'd given her safety and work and love without asking for anything in return, who'd fought for her, nearly died for her, who looked at her daughter like she hung the moon. I do, she said. The judge smiled. By the power vested in me by the state of Florida, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. Dominic kissed her gently. Lucia, in Marco's arms, chose that moment to laugh, a bright, clear sound that echoed in the small room. They signed papers, made it official, walked out into the Miami sunshine as a married couple. In the parking lot, Marco handed Lucia back to Amanda, shook Dominic's hand. Congratulations, boss, he said. You finally did something smart. Dominic laughed. Took me long enough. They drove back to the safe house, still their home while the Coral Gables apartment underwent renovations and deep cleaning. Amanda had grown to love the swamp house, its simplicity, its distance from the city's noise. That night, they put Lucia to bed together. Dominic sang her the Italian lullaby that had become her favorite. Amanda watched from the doorway, her heart so full it hurt. Later, they lay in bed, tangled together in the darkness. Mrs. Vieri, Dominic murmured against her hair. I'm keeping my name, Amanda said. For work. For me. I don't care what name you use, Dominic said, as long as you're mine. I'm mine first, Amanda corrected gently, and then I'm yours. Dominic pulled back, looked at her. Yeah? Yeah. Amanda traced his jaw with her fingers. That's how this works. I don't disappear into you. We build something together, as equals. Equals, Dominic repeated, like he was testing the word. I like that. Good. Amanda kissed him. Because I'm not going to be some mob wife who sits quietly and does what she's told. I would never ask you to be. I know. Amanda settled against his chest. That's why this works. They fell asleep like that. Two people who'd found each other in the wreckage of their separate disasters and decided to build something new from the ruins. The legal fallout from the warehouse incident took months to settle. Bryce was charged with multiple crimes: stalking, violating restraining orders, illegal weapons possession, attempted kidnapping. His lawyer tried to argue self-defense, but the evidence was overwhelming. Security footage, witness testimony, the threatening texts he'd sent from burner phones. He was sentenced to 5 years. The judge made it clear that if he attempted any contact with Amanda or Lucia upon release, He'd face additional charges. The DNA test he'd ordered came back during the trial. Amanda sat in the courtroom, holding Dominic's hand, as the results were read aloud. Bryce was not Lucia's biological father. The baby Amanda carried when she left him had been conceived after their separation, during a brief, desperate encounter with a man whose name she barely remembered. It didn't matter. Lucia was hers and Dominic's. Biology was irrelevant. Bryce's face crumpled when he heard the results. All his threats, all his legal maneuvering, all his attempts at control, for nothing. He had no claim, no rights, no connection to the daughter he'd tried to weaponize. Amanda felt nothing watching him led away. Not satisfaction, not pity, just the quiet certainty that this chapter was finally, completely closed. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Questions about Dominic, about the warehouse, about her relationship with organized crime. Amanda ignored them all, climbed into Marco's SUV with Lucia and Dominic, and didn't look back. 6 months after the wedding, they moved into a new house. Not the Coral Gables apartment that held too many memories of violence and fear. Instead, Dominic bought property in Coconut Grove, a real house with a yard and a nursery painted soft yellow, far enough from the city to feel safe, close enough to stay connected. Amanda's translation business thrived. She'd built a reputation for quality work, expanded her client base beyond Vieri International. Money came in steadily, enough that she contributed equally to household expenses. Dominic never questioned it, never suggested she didn't need to work. He understood what financial independence meant to her. Lucia grew, crawled, said her first word, "Dada," looking directly at Dominic. He cried. Amanda took pictures. They framed the moment in their memories like precious glass. Dominic kept his promise about restructuring the organization. It was slow, painful work. People resisted. Some left. A few challenged him, but he held firm, creating layers of separation between the legitimate business operations and anything that could threaten his family. "It's working," he told Amanda one night, reviewing financial reports at the kitchen table. "Profits are down, but we're stable. Clean, or cleaner at least." "How much cleaner?" Amanda asked. "Clean enough that our kids won't grow up afraid," Dominic said. "Kids?" Amanda raised an eyebrow. "Plural?" Dominic looked up, sheepish. I thought maybe someday." "I'm pregnant," Amanda said. Dominic's pen fell from his hand. "What?" 3 months. Amanda smiled. "I was waiting for the right time to tell you." Dominic stood, crossed to her in 2 strides, pulled her close. "How long have you known?" "A few weeks. I wanted to be sure before—" He kissed her, cutting off the explanation. When he pulled back, his eyes were bright. "Another baby," he said softly. "Another baby," Amanda confirmed. "Are you happy?" "Happy doesn't cover it." Dominic's hand splayed across her still flat stomach. "Terrified. Grateful. Completely overwhelmed. But yeah. Happy." Lucia toddled over, tugging on Dominic's pants. He picked her up, held both his girls close. "Guess we better get started on that second bedroom," he said. God. The second pregnancy was easier than the first. No fear. No running. No ex-husband threatening her existence. Just Amanda and Dominic preparing for their son's arrival while Lucia learned to walk and talk and terrorize their peaceful house. Daniel was born on a Tuesday afternoon, 3 weeks early but healthy. 7 pounds, dark hair, lungs that could wake the dead. Dominic was there for the birth, holding Amanda's hand, whispering encouragement in Italian and English. When the doctor placed Daniel in Amanda's arms, she looked at Dominic and saw tears streaming down his face. "He's perfect," Dominic said. "He's loud," Amanda corrected, but she was smiling. They brought Daniel home to the Coconut Grove house. Lucia was fascinated by her new brother, wanting to touch him constantly. Amanda watched Dominic navigate 2 children with surprising grace, singing Italian lullabies, changing diapers, pacing the floor at 3 a.m. when Daniel refused to sleep. This was the life she'd built, not through careful planning or strategic decisions, through survival, through choosing to trust when every instinct said to run, through letting someone in when she'd sworn never to need anyone again. It was messy, complicated, sometimes still touched by shadows from Dominic's world. But it was hers. Muck. 2 years later, Amanda stood in the backyard of their Coconut Grove house, watching Dominic push Lucia on the swing set while Daniel dug in the sandbox. The sun was setting, painting everything gold and amber. Marco appeared at the back door. "Ms. Hale? Sorry to interrupt, but there's someone here to see you." Amanda's stomach tightened. Visits still made her nervous. "Who?" "Says her name is Sarah, from the cafe." It took Amanda a moment to place the name. Then she remembered. The barista from that day 6 months into her pregnancy. The woman who'd witnessed Bryce's verbal assault. "Send her back," Amanda said. Sarah appeared moments later, older than Amanda remembered. Or maybe Amanda had just gotten used to her own aging. "I'm sorry to drop by unannounced," Sarah said. "I got your address from, well, it doesn't matter how. I just wanted to check on you, after everything that happened." "I'm okay," Amanda said. "Better than okay." Sarah looked at the house, the yard, the orchard, the children. "I can see that." She paused. "I testified at Bryce's trial. Told them what I saw that day. How he treated you." "I know," Amanda said. "I saw the transcript. Thank you." "I should have done more that day," Sarah said quietly. "When he cornered you, I should have called the police or—" "Someone did more," Amanda interrupted. She gestured toward Dominic, and it changed everything. Sarah followed her gaze, watched Dominic catch Lucia at the bottom of the slide, heard his laugh echo across the yard. "He seems good," Sarah said. "He is." Amanda's voice was firm. "He's complicated and dangerous and not someone I ever expected to build a life with. But he's good." Sarah smiled. "I'm glad. You deserve that. After everything." After she left, Amanda walked across the yard to her family. Dominic saw her coming, extended an arm. She tucked herself against his side. "Who was that?" he asked. "Someone from before," Amanda said. "Checking on me." And I told her I'm exactly where I need to be." Dominic kissed the top of her head. "Good answer." They stood like that, watching their children play, as the sun sank lower and mosquitoes began their evening symphony. "Do you ever regret it?" Amanda asked quietly. "Giving up so much of your organization for this?" "Every day," Dominic said. Amanda pulled back, surprised. "Really?" "Every day I wake up and think about how much simpler life was before you," Dominic said. "How much more powerful I was. How much control I had." He looked down at her. "And then I hear Lucia laugh or Daniel cry, or I watch you do something completely ordinary like make coffee, and I remember that power is worthless compared to this." "This being? Home." Dominic's voice was soft. "I spent 46 years building an empire. Took me 6 months with you to realize I'd been building the wrong thing." Amanda's throat tightened. "I love you." "I know." Dominic smiled. "I love you too." Lucia ran over, demanding to be picked up. Dominic lifted her with his good arm. The shoulder wound had healed well, but it still ached in cold weather. Daniel followed, wanting attention. They headed inside as darkness fell. Dinner, bath time, stories, the ordinary rhythm of family life. Later, after the children were asleep, Amanda found Dominic on the back porch. He held a glass of whiskey, staring out at the yard. "You okay?" she asked. "Marco called," Dominic said. "Someone's trying to move into Antonio's old territory. Young guy, ambitious, making noise about challenging my authority." Amanda's stomach clenched. "What are you going to do?" "Handle it." Dominic took a drink. "But quietly, politically. No violence unless absolutely necessary. And if it becomes necessary, then I'll do what needs to be done to protect this family." Dominic looked at her. "That's never going to change, Amanda. As long as I'm breathing, I will do whatever it takes to keep you safe." "I know." Amanda sat beside him. "But I also know you're trying to build something different, something better. Don't let some ambitious kid pull you back into the old ways." "He won't," Dominic said, "because I've learned something these last few years." "What?" "That real power isn't making people fear you." Dominic set down his glass. It's making them understand that hurting what you love will cost them everything. Fear fades, consequences don't. That's still pretty dark, Dominic. I'm a dark person, Dominic said simply, but I'm trying to be better, for you, for them. He nodded toward the house where their children slept. You are better, Amanda said, just by trying. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the night sounds. Do you ever think about that day? Dominic asked. In the cafe? All the time. What do you think would have happened if I hadn't stepped in? Amanda considered. I would have survived, eventually gotten free of Bryce through the legal system, raised Lucia alone. Been okay. Just okay? Yeah. Amanda looked at him. Just okay. Not happy, not whole, just surviving. And now? Now I'm living, Amanda said simply. There's a difference. Dominic pulled her close. She curled against his chest, listening to his heartbeat. Thank you, he said quietly. For what? For seeing past what I am to who I'm trying to be. Thank you for the same thing, Amanda said. They stayed like that until the mosquitoes drove them inside. 5 years later, Amanda sat in the audience of Lucia's elementary school graduation. Dominic was beside her, Daniel squirming in his lap, their youngest, Sophia, 3 years old, coloring quietly beside them. Lucia walked across the stage to receive her certificate, grinning at her parents. Amanda waved. Dominic whistled, earning a glare from the parent in front of them. After the ceremony, Lucia ran to them, certificate clutched in her hand. Did you see me, Daddy? I saw you, Piccola, Dominic said, picking her up despite her growing size. You were perfect. I'm going to middle school now, Lucia announced. I'm practically grown up. Practically, Amanda agreed, smiling. They took pictures, celebrated with ice cream, drove home through the Miami evening. That night, after all 3 children were finally asleep, Amanda stood in the bedroom she shared with Dominic, looking at herself in the mirror. She was 34 now, older, tired from raising 3 kids. Her body carried the marks of pregnancy and childbirth. Gray threads were appearing in her hair. She looked nothing like the broken woman who'd sat alone in that cafe 7 years ago. That woman had been drowning, desperate, willing to accept scraps because she didn't believe she deserved better. This woman, the one looking back from the mirror, she was different, stronger, scarred but standing. A mother, a wife, a survivor who'd learned to fight. Dominic appeared in the reflection, wrapping his arms around her waist. What are you thinking about? He asked. How far we've come, Amanda said. Long way from that warehouse. Long way from that cafe, Amanda corrected. True. Dominic kissed her shoulder. Any regrets? Amanda thought about it, really thought about it. The fear, the violence, the nights spent wondering if Dominic's world would consume them. The moments when she'd questioned every choice that led her here. But then she thought about Lucia's laugh, Daniel's curiosity, Sophia's stubborn determination, the way Dominic looked at all of them like they were miracles. No, she said finally. No regrets. Good. Dominic's arms tightened. Because I'm not letting you go. Ever. I know. Amanda turned in his embrace. I'm not going anywhere. They stood like that, in the quiet of their bedroom, in the house they'd built together, in the life they'd forged from chaos and determination and love that refused to quit. And Amanda realized something fundamental. She hadn't been rescued that day in the cafe. She'd been given a chance to fight back, to rebuild, to become someone she'd never imagined she could be. Dominic had opened the door, but she'd walked through it herself, and on the other side she'd found something worth every scar, every sleepless night, every moment of terror. She'd found home, not in a place or a person, but in the strength she'd discovered within herself, the strength to survive, to protect what mattered, to love without fear, to become the mother her children deserved and the partner Dominic needed. She'd found herself, and that was worth everything. 10 years after that day in the cafe, Amanda stood in her backyard watching Lucia, now 16, teach Daniel and Sophia how to play soccer. Dominic was inside on a conference call, managing the now legitimate business empire he'd spent a decade building. The violence was gone. The threats had faded. What remained was a family. Imperfect, sometimes chaotic, but undeniably real. Amanda's phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "I saw you on the news, that charity thing for domestic violence survivors. Didn't know you were doing that kind of work now. Good for you." Sarah Amanda smiled. The charity was something she'd started 3 years ago, a foundation providing legal assistance and housing for women leaving abusive situations. Dominic funded it quietly. Amanda ran it publicly. They'd helped 47 women so far, 47 lives redirected towards something better. She typed back, "Thank you. It's important work." Sarah's response came quickly. "You were always stronger than you knew. Glad you figured that out." Amanda pocketed her phone and walked to where her children played. "Mom," Daniel called. "Want to play?" "Sure," Amanda said. She joined the game, laughing as Sophia stole the ball, as Lucia scored a goal, as Daniel protested that it didn't count. Dominic appeared at the back door, done with his call. He watched them for a moment, then walked over, joining the chaos. And there, in their backyard in Coconut Grove, with the Miami sun setting and her family surrounding her, Amanda Hale, survivor, mother, fighter, finally understood the truth. She hadn't just survived, she'd won. Not by defeating Bryce or escaping danger or even by building this life with Dominic. She'd won by refusing to stay broken, by choosing to fight when it would have been easier to surrender, by believing, despite everything, that she deserved more than survival. She deserved to thrive. And she had. The game continued around her. Voices raised in playful competition, Dominic's laugh mixing with the children's shouts. Amanda closed her eyes, felt the last rays of sunlight on her face, and breathed deeply. This was her life. Hard-won, imperfect, built from the wreckage of everything that came before. And it was beautiful. Not because it was easy or safe or what she'd planned, but because it was hers. Completely, undeniably, triumphantly hers. And that was enough. More than enough. It was everything.